Martial Arts Pavilion, Alchemy Pavilion, Artifact Refining Pavilion. There are so many wondrous things in Xia City that anyone who has seen them would want to live here. Although Mu Yunhua had only been in Xia City for 5 days, these experiences were enough for him to completely understand why after the Mei Rebellion, when the Mu family fully took control of Chui Mountain, not a single elder, including great-grandfather Mu Long, considered becoming independent. Indeed, in the eyes of Mu Yunhua and many young members of the Mu family, since the Mu family had overthrown the Duan family and taken Chui Mountain, the next step should be to gradually eliminate Great Xia's influence, ultimately achieving independence and revitalizing Chui Mountain. However, after the June Chui Mountain alliance, Great Xia only withdrew 10 regiments, while 5,000 Xia army soldiers remained stationed in Chui Mountain town, supposedly to protect it, but the real reason was clear to Mu Yunhua and everyone else. In June and July, spurred by many people, Mu Yunhua repeatedly approached his father Mu Zihuo and grandfather Mu King with the idea of independence for Chui Mountain, only to be severely reprimanded by both. In the end, he had no choice but to seek out great-grandfather Mu Long. Now reflecting on it, great-grandfather had sent him to Xia City, supposedly for cultivation in the martial arts pavilion and participating in the martial arts competition. But in fact, it was for him to personally assess Chui Mountain's potential for independence from Great Xia. Thinking of those who had previously incited him, a hint of coldness rose in Mu Yunhua's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it, raised his head, and asked Jiang Ye in front of him with slight irritation. It seems brother Jiang has lived in Xia City for a long time. The two of us only arrived 5 days ago, so we don't really understand the situation of the martial arts competition. We must ask brother Jiang for guidance. He hadn't forgotten Jiang Ye's earlier mockery. Since the other party understood the situation of the martial arts competition, it was natural to inquire. Last year's first martial arts competition in the 3 towns, the news had already spread loudly in the 9 towns. Although Mu Yunhua and his brother didn't participate, they knew much about the details, including rankings, rewards, and the approximate strength of the top 10 in both groups. As luck would have it, the 2 brothers were just 2 or 3 months shy of 20, fitting perfectly into the age limit for the youth group. Last year's youth group champion, Lu Dong, was less than 8 manes in strength. Mu Yunhua now had nearly 9 manes, stronger than him, so it seemed reasonable to consider winning the championship. Jiang Ye's mocking words must have a reason. You still don't believe it, huh? Seeing Mu Yunhua's slightly irritated face, Jiang Ye immediately understood he was still bothered by his earlier mockery, and with a smile, shook his head. You think you have a chance at the championship with less than 9 manes? Then with my 11 manes, wouldn't I be the certain youth group champion? Mu Yunhua and his brother were instantly stunned by this remark. When Jiang Ye appeared, they could already tell his strength was greater than theirs, but 11 manes was far beyond their expectations. Before the brothers could react, a series of mocking voices sprang up from nearby, all targeting Jiang Ye. 11 manes for the championship, you're crazy. For Jiang Ye, aren't you still dreaming? Haha, 11 manes, even making the top 50 is questionable. These 2 from Chui Mountain just arrived in the city, don't know the situation and talk nonsense, but you're stirring things up too. It turns out Jiang Ye spoke the words without lowering his voice, so many people training nearby heard clearly. Upon hearing the others, Mu Yunhua immediately realized that everyone heard their conversation, though none had mocked them like Jiang Ye. But now he was too occupied to care, as his gaze was fixed on a young woman in a yellow dress within the crowd, his face full of confusion. The reason being, the words even making the top 50 is questionable with 11 manes were spoken by the young woman in the yellow dress. Mu Yunhua only wanted to figure out what that statement meant. Murong Jiao, your strength is similar to mine. If I can't make the top 50, you won't either, humph. Coincidentally, Jiang Ye's retort revealed the identity of the young woman in the yellow dress. Is it possible for someone from the Mayan Murong family to possess 10 manes at such a young age? Mu Yunhua found himself completely unable to gauge Murong Jiao's strength, his pupils slightly trembling, but this was just the beginning. As he glanced around at the dozen or so young people gathered, he discovered only 2 whose strength matched his, making him utterly bewildered. Brother Mu might not know these people yet. Come, let me introduce. Seeing Mu Yunhua's expression, Jiang Ye revealed a mischievous smile and began introducing people starting with Murong Jiao. Mayan Murong Jiao, 19 years old, 11 Mane strength. Mayan He Feng, 19 years old, 13 Mane strength. Mayan Murong Kayan, 18 years old, 12 Mane strength. Mayan Liu Yu, 19 years old, 13 Mane strength. Jiangxia Zhang Yifan, 19 years old, 12 Mane strength. Jiangxia Zai Huning, 19 years old, 15 Mane strength. Jiangxia Qin Wuxin, 17 years old, 13 Mane strength. Jiangxia. As Jiang Ye listed the names, ages, and respective strengths of the 17 young people present one after another, the expressions of Mu Yunhua and his brother became increasingly shocked, with their hearts trembling ceaselessly. The 17 young people in front of them, the one with the lowest basic strength, happened to be Murong Jiao, or rather, she and Jiang Ye were tied for the lowest. Chapter 1411, Chapter 453, Three Town Youths Who is the Genius? Young Alliance Leader, Two Rivals Competing for a Breakthrough 3. Jiang Ye revealed everyone's ages. It was evident he was telling him that those present were all contestants in the junior martial arts competition group. How is this possible? How could it be? No way. Mu Yunhua suddenly realized, looked around the cultivation field and found no peers, promptly cupping his hand to inquire, Brother Jiang, are all these people from the two towns of Mayan and Jiangxia? Why don't I see any great Xia scions? He. Before Jiang Ye could speak, Murong Jiao laughed ahead, and seeing Mu Yunhua looking at her, she shook her head and said, Great Xia has internal rules. Those participating in the martial arts competition aren't allocated cultivation spots in the martial arts pavilion during the matches. The slots to enter the martial arts pavilion are limited. Mu Yunhua knew this. His ability to cultivate for 5 days was secured by his great-grandfather Mu Long. Mu Long had told him these things before coming to Great Xia. The question is, why would Great Xia make such a rule? Brother Mu really knows nothing about this. Seeing Mu Yunhua's expression, Jiang Ye shook his head and sighed, then affected a helpless tone. To put it plainly, it's to give us a chance. The great Xia scions are too powerful. If they don't tilt the martial arts pavilion's resources towards us from the outer towns, the top 100 in the martial arts competition might end up being all great Xia insiders. How is that possible? Mu Yunhua hadn't spoken yet, when Mu Yunhua couldn't hold back any longer and interjected. Seeing the disbelief on the brothers' faces, Jiang Ye shook his head. Why is that impossible? Last year in the top 10 of both groups combined, there were just 4 from the outer towns, and they were all at the bottom. The top 100 list, the outer towns occupied less than 2/10. Last year's martial arts competition had quite a few restrictions from Great Xia. For example, the renowned holy pattern bloodline from Southern Slope was prohibited. Same with weapons. Great Xia ruled a maximum of 1,000 forged was allowed. Anything higher was forbidden. This year, Great Xia intended to continue with restrictions, but during June's Chewy Mountain Alliance, 9 towns formally made an agreement with you in Chewy Mountain, elevating the specs of this martial arts competition. In July, Lord Lin Kai announced at Hongmen that this year's martial arts competition imposes no restrictions on Great Xia scions and treats others from the 8 towns equally, depending entirely on skill. After Jiang Ye finished, the Mu Yunhua brothers had little reaction, but Murong Jiao and over a dozen young people from the 2 towns showed expressions of dejection. Murong Jiao sighed and said, If we followed last year's rules, reaching the top 50 was possible for us. Now I'm afraid. We inquired. Last year's champion Lu Dong had at most the strength of 8 manes, so what if there were restrictions? Brother Zaihu's 15 manes strength exceeds Lu Dong's by 7 manes. Doesn't he stand a chance to win the championship? Mu Yunhua couldn't hold back any longer and posed a question to Zaihu Ning, the strongest among them. Zaihu Zhang, with 15 manes of strength, was indeed the strongest among the young people present. But despite his strength, he wasn't arrogant. When he heard Mu Yunhua's question, he smiled wryly and cupped his hand, saying, If it were last year, I might still have some hope. But this year. He paused, resigned. Last year's champion Lu Dong had indeed less than 8 manes strength, but Brother Mu knows how old Lu Dong was when he won the championship last year. Mu Yunhua was startled, but he quickly realized the issue. 18. Zaihu Ning directly gave the answer, then couldn't help but shake his head, meaning Lu Dong can compete with the junior group again this year. Brother Mu just arrived in Xia City, afraid you haven't inquired about Lu Dong's current strength. Mu Yunhua directly shook his head, noticing the faces of everyone around him turning dark upon hearing Lu Dong's name, and his eyes filled with curiosity. 23 manes. Boom! The number 23 manes was like a thunderbolt exploding in their minds. Mu Yunhua and his brother's expressions froze, standing dumbfounded. Yet Zai Huning seemed unsatisfied with their reaction, paused then continued. The great Xia sacred pattern is no secret, increasing strength by at least 3/10, without even counting his martial arts or combat talent. Lu Dong's true strength is at least above 30 manes now. Mu Yunhua and his brother were completely dumbfounded. 19 years old, strength above 30 manes, it completely exceeded their understanding. How could it be? How could it be? The phrase kept repeating in their minds. However, once Zai Huning paused, others continued speaking. It's not just Lu Dong. Last year's runner-up, Great Xia Hunting Department Director Luo Yuan, his son Luo and is still 18 this year, but he also has 23 manes of strength, and he's reportedly made bold claims, determined to win the championship this year. Among last year's junior group top 10, the only ones now 20 years old are Chen Ping and Jiang Yichen. The remaining 8, the weakest in strength seems to be Mu Rongyan from Mayan Town, 19 manes. The remaining 5 are Liu Ping 23 manes, Zhu Ping 22 manes, Zhao Yuanwu 24 manes, Luo Cheng 21 manes, Zio Yan 23 manes. The top 8 are practically predetermined, right? That's not necessarily the case. I heard recently that Great Xia has seen the rise of many geniuses this year, 16 or 17 with 20 manes of strength, all eager to contend for the top 10. Don't just focus on the junior group, take a look at the youth group. Last year's youth group runner-up Zhao Yuandao is only 23 years old this year, rumored to have strength of 32 manes. Last year's champion Tai Xinchuan has turned 25, has joined the Black Arrow Army reconnaissance camp, missing this martial arts competition. It's said the youth group champion is already predetermined for Zhao Yuandao. Chapter 1412, Chapter 453, Three-Town Youths, Who is the Genius? Young Alliance Leader, a standoff between two breakthrough seekers /4. There's no need to think about it. It's either already decided to be Zhao Yuandao or someone else. Last year, Yuan Bai, who ranked in the top 10 of the youth group, also reached the strength of 31 manes. Zio Hen, Zhou Ying, Zhao Yuankong, Meng Qing, and Zai Hu Qingqing, the weakest among them, is already at 29 manes. Zio Hen is Zai Hu Qingqing's husband. He's 24 years old this year, and also has the strength of 31 manes, making him a strong contender for the championship. This year, there's no restriction on the Great Xia's young disciples. My father said that if someone from the outer town can make it into the top 100, it would be like burning incense to the gods. I don't have any other hopes, I just wish to break into the top 100. Even making it into the top 100 is a luxury. How can there be so many talents in Great Xia? What talents? There's no such thing as talent in Great Xia. I've lived here for almost a year and haven't seen anyone being labeled as a genius. There are geniuses, isn't the young master one? Mu Yunhua and Mu Yunchu were so shocked internally that they couldn't hear what Jiang Ye and the others were saying anymore. They just now understood why Jiang Ye paused when he mentioned the 4 words, Mu family twin heroes. He was probably laughing to himself. Your talents might be considered top-notch on Chui Mountain, but in Great Xia, they're simply not enough. Just go to Xia City and participate in this year's martial arts competition to broaden your views. Don't stay on Chui Mountain for too long, like a frog at the bottom of a well. In their minds, the words that their great-grandfather, Mu Long, said to them before coming to Xia City suddenly resurfaced, and they exchanged a glance, their faces full of wry smiles and helplessness. When they heard these words just before setting off, they didn't take them seriously, thinking that their great-grandfather was just deliberately trying to suppress them a little. Now they truly understood that not only were the words not suppressive, but they were actually understated to maintain their dignity. Putting aside the young disciples of Great Xia for the moment, just looking at these same-age folks from Jiangxia and Mayan towns, they couldn't even compare. Zhao Yuandao, 23 years old, 32 manes of strength. They should know that their fathers, the 3rd generation of the Mu family, with an average age between 50 to 60, currently only had a strength above 30 manes. Second brother, should we just withdraw from the competition? Mu Yunchu suddenly spoke with a bitter face. He felt so defeated inside that he even had thoughts of withdrawing from the competition. Mu Yunhua wasn't much better off. Just the prowess of these young folks from Jiangxia and Mayan towns made him feel hugely discouraged. Now, not to mention the idea of winning, he even began to worry about how he would explain to great-grandfather Mu Long if he couldn't make it into the top 100. Before departing from Chui Mountain, he had confidently promised that he would secure a good ranking to honor their great-grandfather. Withdrawing is impossible. Is Great Xia really this strong? The words from everyone indeed went beyond Mu Yunhua's understanding. He refused his younger brother's suggestion to withdraw and started to doubt whether Jiang Ye and the others were lying. Could these people possibly be trying to scare me into quitting the competition? Mu Yunhua looked at Jiang Ye and the others, his eyebrows furrowing tightly. If Jiang Ye and the others knew what Mu Yunhua was thinking at that moment, they would probably laugh out loud. As Mu Yunhua's suspicions brewed, Jiang Ye and the others continued their conversation. But just then, a commotion broke out on the third-floor cultivation field. Many people suddenly stopped their cultivation and quickly rushed downstairs. One person passed it to 10, and 10 to 100, and suddenly more than half the people on the third floor rushed downstairs. What's going on? Jiang Ye and the others naturally noticed this. The youngest and most curious, Murong Jiao, quickly stopped a middle-aged man to inquire. Uncle, it's still far from dawn. Why are you all going downstairs? Apparently, the second prince is here and is practicing martial arts on the first floor. I have to hurry and take a look. I don't even know what the prince looks like. The middle-aged man was evidently in a rush and barely responded to Murong Jiao as he hurried downstairs. Murong Jiao was initially taken aback, but followed the middle-aged man downstairs. The remaining people exchanged glances and quickly followed. Although Mu Yunhua didn't understand, his curiosity got the better of him. Plus, he had never heard of the title Second Prince, so he joined the crowd and hurried downstairs. Brother Jiang, who is this second prince? Of course, during the descent, he didn't forget to ask Jiang Ye, the eldest son of the Lord Xia Yusheng. Upon hearing this answer, the expressions of Mu Yunhua and his brother suddenly changed, and their curiosity soared to an extreme, immediately understanding the actions of the crowd. If you had to pick the most legendary figure in the entire 9 towns right now, it would undoubtedly be Lord Xia Hong of Great Xia. Great Xia Lord, the paramount strength of Mo South Slope, Alliance Hierarch of the 9 Towns Alliance, and Sovereign of the 9 Towns of the South Slope. Among Xia Hong's most important titles, the relative least weighty might be the Great Xia Lord. Such a legendary figure's offspring, especially the eldest son, would become the center of attention wherever they go. This is undeniable. It's widely reported that Lord Xia Hong of Great Xia is not yet 40 this year. To describe such a person as a genius is an understatement. His talent is probably second to none in the ice abyss. His son is estimated to be 15 or 16 this year. What kind of talent he must have? Mu Yunhua's anticipation kept climbing, and he soon descended to the first floor along with the crowd. Fortunately, the martial arts pavilion wasn't just open to anybody, and although the first floor was crowded, he could still manage to squeeze in. Chapter 1413, Chapter 453, The 3 Towns' Young Talents, Who is the Genius? Young Alliance Leader, 2 Rivals Vying for Breakthrough /5. He squeezed forward with the crowd, and very soon he was already not far from the martial arts training ground. As he got closer to the martial arts training ground, the chatter of the people around him drifted over as well. Hiss, the second prince has already started reshaping skin. He started. His basic strength is already over 60,000 jin. Tsk, that's strong. With the second prince's talent, I'd say it won't even take 2 years before he breaks through to the cold resistance level, right? Not necessarily. The second prince's battle body talent must be terrifying, not necessarily worse than the Lord's. The higher the battle body talent, the longer the reshaping skin phase takes, but 2 to 3 years should be about the limit. Tusk, the second prince's talent is just too insane. I heard the first prince is even stronger than him. Could he be close to 70,000 jin already? Very likely. It's just a pity the first prince never comes to the martial arts pavilion. If only we could see her strength too. Not yet broken through to the cold resistance level, still only in the reshaping skin phase, with a basic strength of 60,000 jin. Having caught some of the key information, the Mu brothers, Mu Yunhua and his younger brother, both showed faint disappointment on their faces. Mu Yunhua remembered very clearly that when he was 15, he had just broken through the earth-digging realm limit. So having the earth-digging realm limit at 15 or 16, with over 60,000 jin of basic strength, definitely counted as an extraordinary talent. But that depends who you're comparing to. Xia Hong's halo was simply too dazzling. As his eldest son, if he only had this level of talent, Mu Yunhua even felt it didn't even count as qualified. With that mindset, the exclamations from all around were taken by the two brothers as the Xia people overhyping the Lord's son. But very soon, as the two of them finally squeezed into the front row and saw clearly what was happening in the middle of the martial arts training ground, their pupils suddenly shrank, their expressions went slack, and they couldn't help but gulp madly. In the center of the martial arts training ground, a child dressed in black and gold summer clothes, holding a custom silver blade, was entangled in battle with an intermediate golden-eyed demon sheep 5 to 6 meters long. The child wore a silver crown on his head, 3 vertical blood-colored cloud patterns on his brow. His features were delicate and noble, looking at most 8 or 9 years old. A blood-colored jade ring hung at his neck, and 2 pieces of jade at his waist. Because his movements were too large, his lapels were sometimes blown open by the air currents, and the golden soft armor inside flickered in and out of view. One look and you knew it was no ordinary item. Though the child was young, his strength was shockingly terrifying. That custom blade was at most 1.2 meters long, yet he was swinging it so that air currents surged wildly, the wind howling through the entire martial arts training ground. The demon sheep had dived at him countless times, but was forced back every time by sheer power. After roughly a dozen times forcing the demon sheep back, he seized his chance. With a sidestep and drawback of the blade, he unloaded the demon sheep's force. At the same time his gaze sharpened, the blade shifted from a slash to a thrust, stabbing fiercely toward the demon sheep's eye socket. Whoosh! Pull back, sudden thrust, 2 moves done in one fluid motion. That's the Lord's yin-yang reverse blade skill. The second prince is only 7, right? And he's already learned the reverse blade technique. What do you mean 7? He's still 4 days short of turning 7. This demon sheep was conjured by the cold beast stake. It's simulated exactly according to an intermediate demon sheep's strength. Its power is at least 1 main. The second prince's basic strength is only 63,000 jin, but that last strike was almost 1.2 manes. His holy pattern bonus should be more than 30%. His martial arts level might already surpass a lot of adults. To be able to slay an intermediate cold beast alone, even if it's only simulated, that's still incredible. Not 8 or 9, but 4 days short of officially turning 7. Learning Xia Yusheng's true age from the people around them, the two Mu brothers opened and closed their mouths but couldn't say a single word. They just stared woodenly at Xia Yusheng in the arena, even completely ignoring the cold beast stake that could freely change form. They even forgot all about Lu Dong, Lu Owen, Liu Ping, Zhao Yuanwu, and the others that Murong Jiao had just mentioned. At this moment there was only one thought in their minds. From this day on, they could no longer claim the title of the Mu family's twin prides, because the true heavens chosen was standing right in front of them at this very moment. What are you all crowding around this prince for? Go cultivate now. While the two were still in a daze, Xia Yusheng, who had just finished his trial, turned his head and saw himself surrounded so tightly that not a drop of water could pass. He immediately waved his hand impatiently. Though he was young, he already had quite a bit of a superior's bearing. The way he waved his hand to dismiss the crowd truly carried a trace of Lord Xia Hong's shadow. The second prince has spoken. Why aren't you leaving yet? Hurry up and go. The second princess going to get angry. Move, move. Let's go, let's go. The second prince told us to go. The several thousand people on the first floor immediately began to disperse one after another. The brothers Mu Yunhua and his younger brother were naturally no exception. So this is the young alliance leader of the 9 Towns Alliance. Only talent like that is worthy of being called young alliance leader. The brothers went back up to the 3rd floor, met each other's eyes, and both let out a slight sigh. On the top floor of the martial arts pavilion, in a spacious meditation chamber, 2 figures sat cross-legged facing each other, over 10 meters apart. The two looked to be about the same age, both appearing not yet 30, but their clothes and temperaments were completely different. The one on the left wore plain white robes, his features delicate and gentle, a quiet confidence between his brows. The one on the right wore tight black battle clothes, his face sharp and severe, his brows carrying a heroic, piercing air. He's only just begun skin remodeling, and his basic strength is already 60,000 jin. Once skin remodeling is perfected, his strength will be at least 250,000 jin. Even I envy the second prince's talent. The black-clothed youth on the right suddenly opened his eyes and sighed softly, clearly aware of everything that had happened on the first floor. Ha ha ha, Yu Sheng's talent is indeed very strong. Hearing Yuan Dao sigh, Xia Chuan couldn't help opening his eyes, a wide smile on his face. Then he went on, his talent should be on the same tier as my big brother and sister-in-law. I just don't know how many manes he'll have when he breaks through in the future. It should be at least 6 manes. He'll definitely be stronger than you and me. Yuan Dao gave his verdict directly. Xia Chuan nodded, lifted his head to look at Yuan Dao and asked with a smile, Yuan Director is already at 58 manes, still not going to try breaking through. At that, Yuan Dao shook his head, raised his eyes to meet Xia Chuan's, and a hint of competitiveness flashed within them. The minister is already at 60 manes and isn't in a hurry. What am I rushing for? In front of each of them lay 5 heavenly yang pills. They had begun this seclusion back in April. This round of seclusion, both were aiming straight for the Xianyang level. The higher one's basic strength, the greater the power increase upon breaking through to the Xianyang level, and it had a massive impact on subsequent cultivation as well. The two of them were locked in a contest with each other. Of course, they wouldn't casually attempt a breakthrough. Chapter 1414, Chapter 454, Jinyang builds a city, allied forces planning and military expansion reform. Great Xia Year 10, August 10th. Just as the summer martial arts competition was unfolding with great intensity. On the far west of Jinshan Town, within the jurisdiction of Yin Valley, to be precise, at the extreme north of Yin Valley, nearest to bone-eroding path, Jinyang Village also welcomed a major transformation. Clink clank, clang clang. It was nighttime, and the entire Jinyang Village was ablaze with firelight. A brief glance, and there were at least 100 giant coal furnaces scattered throughout the village, all running at full capacity, with a few furnaces that hadn't been fitted with melting pots, with flames soaring over 10 meters into the sky, signifying the intensity of the blaze. Around those giant coal furnaces, iron ore piled up like mountains, thousands of bare-chested strapping men weaving among them, either forging, smelting iron, or molding. All busy and bustling, the sounds of piling and iron forging echoed throughout the entire village. Iron from furnace number 7 is melted. Hurry and bring the piling molds. Barrack iron sheets are ready. Come and carry them away quick. Northwall needs just 20 more iron piles. No slacking, brothers, push harder, most likely finished in 5 days. About 5 kilometers out from the north of Jinyang Village, a giant wall constructed of 20-meter-high iron piles, spanning 15 kilometers east to west, was nearly complete, missing just the 200 meters in the center for total closure. Thousands of craftsmen dispersed along the wall, holding massive stones to fill, pouring iron slurry to shape, transporting equipment to strengthen, wielding huge hammers to drive piles, or many of them pulling iron chains to stand piles. Through their high-level cooperation and coordination, the wall's form grew ever complete, already possessing a substantial grandeur. Not far from the southern side of the wall, an elderly man, accompanied by 6 middle-aged men, and over a dozen young men and women, stood looking up at the towering wall before them, their pupils full of shock and unfamiliarity. How short a time has it been? Not even 2 months and the wall is almost done. Don't you see how many people are involved? Yin Valley's entire 23 village-level camps, 72 large and medium camps, over 40,000 earth-digging realm laborers, plus over 2,000 cold resistance-level craftsmen from 9 towns, and 15,000 allied soldiers assisting, not to mention the tens of thousands from 9 towns solely responsible for transporting iron ore here. Altogether gathering manpower and resources, at least over 200,000, these people split into shifts day and night, barely resting. Building it in 2 months isn't overly surprising. Since early June, the number of cold resistance level arriving at Jinyang Village has incrementally reached over 30,000. I've never seen so many in a lifetime. Building a majestic city in such a short time frame, only 9 towns united on Southern Slope territory could achieve it. Jinyang really set up city walls. I feel like I'm dreaming. It's true, it's true. Our Han family is going to thrive, haha. The elderly man leading the group was dressed in a yellow summer outfit. None other than Han Peng, the former leader of Jinyang village, who couldn't contain the joy in his pupils after hearing his eldest son Han Qi and second son Han Fu's explanation and interrupted them, laughing out loud. The family's attire showed clear distinctions. Han Qi and Han Fu wore blue cotton garments, evidently in the Jinshan town style, whereas Han Peng and the others wore well-tailored summer clothes. The reason was simple. Han Qi and Han Fu had stayed in Jinyang village the past 2 months, while family head Han Peng and other second and third generation family members had just returned from Xia City. Their clothes clearly were purchased in Xia City. Father, what do you mean when you say we're going to thrive? The 6 middle-aged men present were all second-generation descendants of the Han family, 4 sons of Han Peng and 2 nephews, arranged from oldest to youngest as Han Qi, Han Fu, Han Kao, Han Yue, Han Gan, and Han Ju. Upon hearing Han Peng claim that the Han family would thrive, Han Qi and Han Fu, who had stayed in Jinyang for 2 months, evidently caught on immediately, their expressions mildly invigorated. While those who had just returned from Xia City with Han Peng like Han Kao and other Han family descendants seemed a bit puzzled, third-born Han Kao couldn't help but ask. Among the third-generation young members of the Han family, a young man wearing a black summer outfit with a bright and striking face stepped forward. The young man exuded a strong sense of confidence, smiling at Han Kao and said, "Dad, the governance of the city set at Jinyang belongs to the Allies. Henceforth it's certainly part of 9 towns, public territory. All camp residents in Yin Valley will surely gradually migrate over. Our Jinyang village's 60 to 70,000 people count as the first batch of residents of this city, and our Han family has long been part of Great Xia. The allies governing this place will surely rely on our Han family. Maybe the governance of Jinyang City in the future will include our Han family, and Grandpa's meaning of thriving must be this, right?" The young man in black was none other than the most outstanding third-generation member of the Han family, second disciple of East Ridge guardian Liu Yang, Han Li. "Third brother at your age, you're not as insightful as Lear." Hearing his grandson's words, Han Peng's face was full of admiration. First couldn't help but scold the third brother Han Kao, then nodded and continued. "On August 6th, before departing from Xia City, Commander Liu summoned me alone. He personally guaranteed the establishment of the city at Jinyang will not touch anything in our village. No matter how the city changes in the future, our Han family, including other villagers, existing land properties and other private assets, will always be ours." "Commander Liu," Dad mentioned, could it be Great Xia Cloud Dragon Army Commander, currently one of the 6 major commanders of the Allies, Liu Yuan, Commander Liu. Chapter 1415, Chapter 454, Jinyang City Planning, Allied Forces, Expansion and Military Reform, Part 2. The senior Han Qi, who stayed in Jinyang for 2 months, heard Commander Liu's address and quickly asked his father for confirmation. Seeing his father's nod, his expression slightly trembled. The second eldest, Han Fu, also stationed in Jinyang, learned it was indeed Liu Yuan and couldn't help but express excitement. "The general commander of Jinyang City Construction this time is Commander Liu, since he assured our father it must be true." He paused, turned his head to look at the village behind him, and continued. "After Jinyang's expansion, the total area will be 150 square kilometers. Our village covers about 15 square kilometers, which means 1/10 of the entire city, which will belong to our entire village of over 60,000 people in the future." The mere words development offered a shock, but not as impactful as specific data. Han Fu's description of 15 square kilometers, 1/10 of the city's area, instantly resonated with the Han family's entire clan, their faces full of excitement. Yin Valley alone has at least 40,000 people, which basically equals Jinyang City's final total population. Such a giant city, with our Han family occupying 1/10 of the land, no matter what business we venture into, we could easily prosper. It's wonderful, haha. Han Peng spoke with increasing excitement. This year he was already 83 years old, possessing only 18 main strength, with no hope of advancing to Xianyang level. With a bit of luck, he might only live for another decade or so. For someone like him, who was half buried already, to leave such a massive fortune for his descendants was definitely a dream that would awaken one with laughter. Of course, whether the family could last in the ice abyss for long, wealth was merely a means. The most crucial factor was whether someone would succeed him. Thinking of this, he turned to gaze at his grandson Han Li, his expression even more gleeful. Grandson Han Li, not yet 25 this year, already boasts a strength of 17 mained, far surpassing the Han family's second generation who average around 10 mained, and is even close to surpassing his grandfather. Furthermore, he achieved 79th place in the youth group at this year's 9 Towns Martial Arts competition, rising 20 places compared to last year's ranking. Such an exceptional grandson far exceeds the realm of having a successor, even surpassing the master. Han Li's future potential is much greater than his grandfather's and the Han clan's second generation. Because of this, Han Peng already foresaw that when his grandson Han Li grows up smoothly and takes over as family head, the Han family would surely resonate throughout the Southern Slope territory, joining the ranks of the prestigious families in Great Xia. Grandpa, we have matters to attend to, can't delay for too long. Han Peng's daydreaming was interrupted by a sentence from his grandson Han Li. He quickly realized, nodded, and turned to everyone. All right, since we're all back, let's head to the village to help out. I still need to take Lear to pay a visit to Commander Liu at the camp. Cheer, lead the way, everyone else can disperse. They all just returned from Xia City. Upon arrival, Han Chi informed them that Liu Yuan summoned them. Indeed, they had been delayed for quite some time at the North City Wall. Jinyang's expansion was so vast that it almost reshaped the surrounding village terrain entirely, and the grandfather and grandson duo couldn't even recognize the roads fully, nor did they know where the camp was set, so Han Chi had to take them to find it. Han Chi, stationed in Jinyang, was quite familiar with the place. He led the duo north of the village, introducing along the way. The Allies arrived by the end of June, a total of 15,000 people. Thanks to their help throughout July, the city construction efficiency increased significantly. But 10 days ago they were transferred, now stationed in a temporary camp beside the bone-eroding path. In fact, there was no need for Han Chi to explain, as Han Peng and Han Li were already informed about the Allies' situation in Xia City. However, since Han Chi had direct contact with the Allies, the duo listened with no harm, not interrupting. After the alliance meeting at Chui Mountain, the 9 towns jointly dispatched personnel to form an alliance army totaling 30,000, abbreviated as the 9 Towns Alliance Army. The alliance army was divided into 1 to 6 camps. Each camp had 5,000 people. Each camp appointed a commander and 2 vice commanders responsible for daily troop management and vigilance. The main vigilance target was naturally the 2 vassal towns and all other outer domain arrivals. Camps 1 to 3 stationed at Jinshan Town Yin Valley, here. Camps 4 to 6 stationed in Beishuo Town's Dongchuan jurisdiction. Commander Liu Yuan of Camp 1, Vice Commanders Hu Quan, Yuan Yang, Commander Huang Lin of Camp 2 in Beishuo, Vice Commanders Shang Yuan Yan of Jinshan, Cao Tiansheng of Yonk, Commander Shang Yuan Ning of Camp 3 in Jinshan, Vice Commanders Yi Yiping of Wuchuan, Long Wenyan of Dragon Valley. Upon hearing his uncle name the commanders and vice commanders of the 3 camps, Han Li raised an eyebrow with curiosity and said, Commander Liu Yuan of Camp 1 and all vice commanders are from Great Xia, but Camp 2 and 3 mix the towns. By deliberately stating the hometowns of commanders and vice commanders in Camps 2 and 3, it was apparent Han Chi did so intentionally. Seeing curiosity on his father Han Peng's face, he smiled and said, To put it bluntly, it's because Great Xia's strength is truly powerful. Before setting up a fixed alliance army, Great Xia made it clear that regardless of whether the towns provided formal soldiers, they must at least possess cold resistance level cultivation. The 9 towns altogether provided 30,000 people, roughly meaning each town should provide at least over 3,000 with cold resistance level. To say the least, pulling out over 3,000 with cold resistance level, even for the stronger northern 3 towns, would not be easy, let alone Jiangxia and Mayan, whose vitality had not yet recovered, along with Chui Mountain, which recently experienced a mutiny. These 3 towns currently have at most about 4,000 with cold resistance level. To extract 8 or 9/10 for forming an alliance, these towns won't be able to develop further. Chapter 14:16, Chapter 454, Jinyang City's Establishment, Allied Army Planning and Military Expansion Reform Part 3. Thus, the division of manpower is essentially unrealistic. Among the 30,000 Allied soldiers, Great Xia alone directly provided 10,000, the northern 3 towns jointly provided 10,000, and the remaining 10,000 were shared by the 5 towns. Han Chi's tone was full of shock, But after speaking, he found that his father Han Peng and his nephew Han Li didn't show any surprise on their faces. He bowed his head in thought for a moment, quickly understood the reason, and couldn't help but curiously asked, "Father, you've stayed in Xia City for so long. Do you have any estimate on how many cold resistance level cultivators are there in Great Xia?" Upon hearing this question, Han Peng fell silent momentarily, then displayed a wry smile and said, "Let's put it this way. Xia City's daytime is as lively as our Jinyang village at night." This, with a simple description, Han Peng caused Han Chi's pupils to constrict rapidly. After a slight reaction in his mind, his expression suddenly became bewildered. Our Great Xia contributed 10,000 people, so did we directly split our own people into two camps, all led by our own commanders? Upon hearing Han Peng's question, Han Chi immediately snapped back to reality and shook his head, saying, "That's not the case. In July, I was responsible for delivering meals to the military camp. During chats with the soldiers, I learned that the Allied 6 camps had a fixed number of people from each town, almost evenly distributed among the 9 towns. Reorganized and distributed evenly among the 9 towns." Han Peng fell into contemplation, seemingly sensing something faintly. Han Li's reaction was even faster than his, and with his eyes slightly bright, seeing his grandfather still pondering, he said softly, "The average distribution among the 9 towns is correct, but Great Xia has 10,000 soldiers, the largest base. Even if dispersed among the 6 camps, each camp has more than 1,600 people, which means that Great Xia soldiers are the absolute majority in the 6 camps. Yangxia Mayan, Chui Mountain, these 3 towns now look solely to Great Xia for leadership. If the 1,000 people from these towns scattered into each camp are counted, it comes down to each camp having 5,000 people. Great Xia actually accounts for more than half, which implies, in the Allied 6 camps, no matter who the commander or vice-commander is actually, it's all dictated by Great Xia." How could Han Peng not react, taking over his grandson's words? His expression sharply shuddered, instantly clarifying his perception of the Allies, repeatedly shaking his head. "Not surprising, not surprising. Let's not mention Jiangxia Mayan Chui Mountain. Whether it's the northern 3 towns or Yonk, Dragon Valley, the reason the 5 agreed to ally was to rely heavily on Great Xia, hoping to resist the 2 vassal towns. Even if they saw Great Xia's intention in dividing troops, they wouldn't dare not refuse. The issue is, after forming such an allied army, after some time, it becomes unclear who exactly these soldiers will listen to." Han Li immediately saw through his grandfather's concerns, shook his head and said, "There are many methods for each town to control these soldiers, military supplies, salaries, cultivation resources, or even controlling their families. If Great Xia truly intends to turn these soldiers, it's probably not so simple." After contemplating a moment, he continued, "Rather than saying Great Xia intends to turn the 5 towns soldiers, I think the intention is more about enhancing the Allies' combat effectiveness. Having one say in the matter helps to unite military spirit, directing the soldiers' efforts toward a common goal. As Great Xia is the leader of the alliance, it's natural for the Allies to be led by Great Xia." Upon hearing these incisive words from his grandson, Han Peng nodded repeatedly, his face full of praise, and a slight sense of the twilight rose in his heart. Although he's old, in terms of insight, he likely isn't as capable as his grandson who can freely enter and exit Xia City. "Father, we're here. The front is the military camp." Although the 3 were conversing in front, their steps never stopped. With Han Chi's prompt, the grandfather and grandson looked up in front, and their expressions slightly stiffened. Hundreds of meters to the north, at the entrance south of bone-eroding path, 15 black military tents with a diameter of 100 meters were distributed in a ring, standing quietly in the snowy field. The perimeter of the camp was built with a circle of wooden fences, with many patrolling soldiers continuously inspecting around the tents. The military camp had only one entrance, which was directly in front of them on the south side. In the middle of the 15 giant tents, there was a temporary 5-layer wooden building built, more than 20 meters tall, with a black flag on top, marked with a large golden Xia Hong character on the front and an alliance character on the back. The alliance character is easy to understand, indicating the allies, but what is the purpose of the Xia Hong character? Xia Hong? Han Peng, puzzled, turned his head to look at Han Chi. Han Chi quickly answered, "This flag was only put up 5 days ago. I asked the soldiers. They said the alliance hierarch recently appointed someone with the surname Xia Hong as the new Grand Commander, responsible for overseeing the 3rd Camp Army handling defense affairs over Yin Valley. It's Xiang Fuhai, the former Lord of Bashing who joined Great Xia. Han Peng immediately responded, the one with the surname Xiang, qualified to command the allied army of 3 camps with 15,000 soldiers. Other than Xiang Fuhai, there was no one else. Directly assigning someone of Xianyang level to lead the troops, such audacity. Han Peng lamented, having followed Han Qi to the entrance of the military camp. Approaching the camp entrance, Han Peng and his grandson were slightly apprehensive, for more than 100 armored patrol soldiers at the entrance were all of cold resistance level cultivation. When the two glanced over, they found that they couldn't see through half of their strengths. By Ice Abyss's established unwritten rule, if one cannot see through the power, it generally means the other's power is above them, except in rare cases where someone uses a special concealment technique. Chapter 1417, Chapter 454, Jinyang establishes the City Allied Army Planning and Expansion Reform, Part 4. In a military camp, hardly anyone hides their strength. So the answer is clear. Of the more than 100 soldiers guarding the gate, over half are stronger than this grandfather and grandson. You must know one of them is an 18-maned, the other a 17-maned. With this level of prowess, they could have swaggered through Yin Valley. Now, however, they're not even as good as the camp's gatekeepers, making them feel not only apprehensive but complex. But as they walked to the camp gates, Han Peng's expression relaxed upon seeing a young man dressed like a leader among the gatekeeping soldiers. "Captain Li, is it your shift today?" Han Qi was even more direct, going up and greeting the young man. The armored young man looked up and saw Han Peng and the other two. His face immediately lightened with a smile, and he cupped his hands and said, "Leader Han is back from Xia City." After speaking, he glanced at Han Li behind them, smiling and asking, "How did Han Li perform in this year's martial arts competition? What rank did he place?" This young captain on duty was none other than Li Hu, the former deputy leader of Jinyang Village. At the end of the 8th year of Great Xia, Li Hu and Yang Zhang were dispatched by Lu Yang to Jinyang Village to monitor Han Peng, to prevent him from rebelling. When they arrived at Jinyang Village, Han Peng knew they were from Great Xia. As Han Peng's affiliation with Great Xia deepened, he straightforwardly appointed Li Hu as deputy leader. With the Allies' station and Jinyang's foundation of a city, Li Hu and Yang Zhang finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel and no longer needed to continue hiding. By the end of June, when the Allies arrived, Liu Yuan casually found an excuse to incorporate them into the Allies' first camp. With 31 main strength, Li Hu secured a position as personal army captain, leading an elite scout camp. Han Li is a disciple of Liu Yang, and since the East Ridge days he has known Li Hu with quite a good relationship. Hearing his inquiry, he smiled and replied, "He, 79th place, brother Hu isn't that good." "Impressive, I thought you'd not make it into the top 100. Upon hearing Han Li's rank, Li Hu immediately nodded and praised. Han Li was taken to Xia City by Liu Yang last year and recognized as official. Subsequently, he stayed in Xia City for half a year and was considered a genuine Great Xia person. With a holy pattern, possessing 17 main strength, entering the top 100 wasn't exaggerated. The commander had already informed me, "Come with me, I'll take you directly to the headquarters building to see the commander." Despite being acquaintances, they were spared the interrogation procedure, but Li Hu still had them undergo the routine inspection at the entrance and exit. So-called routine inspection was a passage smeared with solidified fire oil. Li Hu led the three through the passage, then took familiar paths around the tents, heading straight for the headquarters building at the camp center. In the 4th floor's central hall of the headquarters building, Liu Yuan sat in the main seat. Below him were 6 people, respectively: Hu Quan, Yuan Yang, Zhou Yuan, Hu Tong, Mengye, Wang Yuan. Cloud Jiao, Long Wu, Long Yuan. 3 armies have been inserted into the 3 camps, their structures untouched. The remaining Bizhou and Qingwu armies, with 2,000 troops, can only be evenly divided into 3 groups, scattered into the camps. This time Commander Hu and Commander Meng are somewhat aggrieved. Upon Liu Yuan's words, Hu Tong and Mengye both slightly cupped their hands. It's beyond control with their weak strength. It's because they're usually lackluster. Losing the marching competition, what else can be said? It's deserved that they've been scattered. Upon hearing Hu Tong and Mengye's words, the other 4 along with Liu Yuan couldn't help but smile. Whenever they mentioned this matter, the 5 couldn't help but laugh. Of course, this laughter contrasted with Meng Yi and Hu Tong's moodiness. This time informing the allies, Great Xia fielded 10 armies. 5 of them were allotted to the Yin Valley side. The allies' 6-camp structure was proposed by the director of the military department Yuan Dao, including thoroughly disbanding the 9 town soldiers, evenly distributing them into the 6 camps, ensuring Great Xia's people are the majority, also Yuan Dao's idea. According to Yuan Dao's plan, their 5 armies, totaling 5,000, must be allotted into allies, 1st to 3rd camps, which inevitably requires splitting 2 armies. Every Great Xia military unit, since its founding, all soldiers stayed together. Why would anyone want to be split up without reason? Not long ago, upon departure from Chui Mountain, the 5 armies kept bickering. None wished to be split. Seeing no resolution, Liu Yuan proposed a solution. Using a marching competition, the 2 slowest armies would be split. Regarding combat strength, naturally, none could compete with Cloud Jiao and Long Wu 2 armies. But when it came to marching speed, that's different. From Chui Mountain Town to Jinshan Town, it was unfamiliar terrain for all 5 armies. Furthermore, all soldiers possessed cold resistance level cultivation, thus no apparent advantage existed. This was a test of their daily marching training results. Liu Yuan's suggestion received unanimous agreement from everyone. Hence, the competition commenced this way. The final result was Bijou and Xingwu 2 armies lagged behind. Thus the current situation arose. Seeing Meng Yi and Hu Tong's morose faces, Liu Yuan smiled and said, "No need to be disheartened, here's some insider news." At this he paused, observing everyone's eyes on him, then continued with a mysterious air. "This April, before the minister and director Yuan Sijang secluded themselves, I overheard them discussing military expansion and restructuring." Military expansion and restructuring. Upon hearing this, Hu Quan and the others' expressions shifted drastically, immediately raising their heads towards Liu Yuan, eagerly awaiting more. Chapter 14:18. Chapter 454. Jinyang establishes cities, allies, planning and military expansion reform 5. The Great Xia plans to expand its military and reform its system, something many have sensed, especially the commanders leading the troops, who have felt it most strongly. Over the past year, the number and the cold resistance level of Great Xia has grown too quickly. Since the end of last year, the establishment of 6 grand armies, Steel Mane, Golden Sword, Golden Eagle, Zhenwu, Yingwu, and Jialong, indicates this. The current 1,000-man military system is clearly not sufficient. The designation numbers of the Great Xia army have all evolved from hunting teams. The army's designation numbers are finite, unlike the hunting teams, which can endlessly add more. The current 21 numbers are already somewhat bloated, making it difficult for unified grand army coordination, always training on a 1,000-man scale, and hard to form the combat power that large corps should have. Expanding the army and reforming the system are imperative. Since this is determined, how to expand the army, how to reform the system, whether to merge forces, revoke existing designations, and other related issues are what all commanders of Great Xia care most about right now. Liu Yuan is the 2nd commander of the Cloud Dragon Army, succeeding Minister Xia Chuan, and is definitely a trusted confidant of Xia Chuan. Who in Great Xia does not know? His insider information is highly credible. Seeing everyone's curiosity aroused, Liu Yuan, with a smile on his face and a shimmer in his eyes, continued. The director mentioned that Great Xia will retain a maximum of only 30 army designations, meaning there are only 9 designations left to be finalized by the end of this year. Once the 30 designations are fixed, all future armies will be just like the other towns on the southern slope, uniformly called the defensive army. Upon hearing this, everyone's faces immediately filled with relief. Liu Yuan continued, "This is part of the reform content, and then there is the expansion." The minister said that once the 30 designation numbers are all determined, he and the director will establish a system for promoting army designation levels, where higher designation levels allow the recruitment of more soldiers. Conversely, the lower the designation level, the fewer soldiers can be recruited. Moreover, it is not just about promotion. If battlefield performance is too poor, the designation level can be downgraded. Forming allies is an experiment in expansion. The lady has dispatched a total of 10 grand armies, stationed in Beishuo Danchuan and Jinshan Yin Valley. Our 10 grand armies are the test subjects of the first round, and in the coming years, our allies' performance will be our examination result, and will be included in the promotion evaluation. The 6 people below heard this and immediately became more solemn. The alliance forces stationed in Dongchuan and Yin Valley are all for countering the feudal towns. The feudal towns of Chenkang and Kaiku are nothing like opponents they have faced before. It is foreseeable that if war breaks out in these 2 places, it will be earth-shattering. The performance of their respective armies will determine their army designation, the final level confirmation, and thus relate to whether the army can recruit more soldiers. The level of the army, the number of soldiers, the strength of combat power, these are just surface things. What Hu Quan and others truly care about is the resource tilt behind the camp. Armies with higher combat power will naturally receive more attention from the camp, and thus obtain richer resource allocations, which are the most important. Immediately, a glimmer of firelight rose in the eyes of Hu Quan and others as they all began to eagerly anticipate, facing the potentially imminent attacks from the feudal towns. They felt no fear and even had a subtle eagerness. No need to rush. On August 25, people from bone-eroding path will come over, and by then, we can see exactly how much strength Keikyu's Xianyang level possesses. Liu Yuan's eyes flashed slightly, and he too felt a subtle eagerness inside. Kaishiki and the others from Keikyu are now detained downstairs, waiting for August 25, when people from Keikyu will arrive. Kaishiki can be killed, but Kaishiki, the young prince, definitely cannot be killed. Waiting for August 25 for Keikyu people to come. Packing this young prince and others to send them away will serve as the first goodwill gesture from the 9 towns alliance to Keikyu. Let's see if the other side will respond. Unknowingly, it has been over a year since the Lord left. I wonder how things are now. Chapter 1419, Chapter 455, The Sisters Kaishikin and Xia Hong in the Book Collection Tower. In the year 297 of the Keikyu calendar, on the 8th day of October, during the daytime, Linqiu County City, west side of the Governor Mansion, guest residence wing. The biting ice wind made the trees in the courtyard sway back and forth. The piercing cold light mercilessly shone down, with frost on the roof and exterior walls continuously solidifying into ice sheets. A row of icicles hanging from the eaves, although not as exaggerated as the ice plains outside the city, reaching 10 meters, were still over 1 meter long. The irregularly flying and rotating snowflakes in midair seemed to tell a story of unrest and unease. Fortunately, each room in the guest wing had a coal stove. The misty high-temperature air currents melted most of the snowflakes before they could touch the ground, plus the continuous tending and sweeping by the servants. No snow accumulation was formed. Ding, 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 ding. At the back of the courtyard, among the purple bamboo grove, suddenly came the crisp and enchanting melody of an ancient zither. The sound of the zither, sometimes vast like distant mountains, sometimes as cold as heavenly sounds, sometimes long as human speech, not only captivating but extremely melodious, seemed to hold an enchanting charm, gradually calming down the rampant snowflakes above the courtyard, no longer flying and rotating freely, slowly settling to the ground. A dozen servants wearing linen cloth tunics, cleaning the courtyard, had long stopped their actions, closed their eyes and focused on listening to the music, their faces full of enchantment and enjoyment. Even a row of maids carrying food boxes walked into the courtyard, heading toward the bamboo grove without any of them noticing. Hee, these foolish boys are captivated by the music again. This piece is a Chen Kang's Chu Wind. That's right, the commandery princess rarely plays this piece. It must be Miss Su playing. Miss Su has been learning for about a month, right? Most people take at least half a year to learn a piece, and she learned it so quickly. Nonsense. More than 3 months ago when Miss Su entered the mansion, she amazed everyone with a self-composed master's grace. Even the eldest prince praised her, saying she was a natural musical genius. Her speed in learning music would surely be faster than ordinary people. Right, I remember now. She can even compose her own zither music. Learning the music must be easy for her. As a row of maids whispered among themselves, they followed the stone path along with the music, twisting and turning quickly until they reached the depths of the bamboo grove, where a delicate 5-sided pavilion covered with warm-hued gauze curtains suddenly appeared in sight. On the pavilion, 2 young girls of about 8 sat facing each other in blue and white dresses. The cold wind slightly lifted the curtains, revealing 2 stunningly beautiful faces, instantly making both the pavilion and the tranquil bamboo grove lose their brilliance. The girl on the left wore a sky-blue brocade dress adorned with golden threads. Her dark hair was coiled at the back with two intricately crafted phoenix silver hairpins. The Kai-patterned silver ornament worn on her forehead, upon closer inspection, was made of hundreds of small, bright scale-like pieces, shimmering and dazzling under the cold light. Round her neck hung a milky jade ring, and at her waist dangled two emerald-green jade. Though she exuded an aura of nobility, her brows showed not a hint of arrogance, her beautiful eyes tranquil like autumn waters, a gentle smile at her lips as she quietly watched the white-skirted girl playing the zither before her. The girl on the right was dressed in a white skirt also of brocade. The hem lightly fluttered like flowing clouds in the wind, the sleeves embroidered with very faint silver thread lotus patterns. Only under the shifting daylight did it reveal a touch of glow, akin to flowing moonlight. Her dark hair was only loosely coiled with a white jade hairpin, revealing her fair and graceful face. A warm yellow jade ring hung from her neck, and two moon-white jade dangled from her waist. Her demeanor was not as full of nobility as the former, but radiated a unique sense of simplicity and elegance. Before her was a five-stringed ancient zither about 2 meters long. Its 5 strings emitted spiritual lights in gold, blue, red, and yellow. As her slender fingers continued to gently stroke them, the colored lights spread slowly around with the melodious music, quite mystical. Ding! With the final trailing note, the girl's 10 fingers lightly pressed on the strings, looking up only after the music ended at the girl in blue, her eyes revealing a hint of expectation. "It's so beautiful, Zinger. Your learning speed is incredible. This Chu wind sounds just as good as mine." Upon hearing the praise from the girl in blue, Su Zinger's beautiful eyes immediately curved like a crescent, beaming with pride. "It's all thanks to Sister Shiken, the skilled mentor. Otherwise, how could Zinger learn so quickly?" Kai Shiken shook her head upon hearing this, her face full of gentle smiles. Seeing a group of maids waiting outside with food boxes, she laughed and said, "You must be hungry after playing for so long. Today, I ordered the chef to make some good dishes. Come try them with me, Zinger, and see how they taste." The two seemed very close. As Kai Shiken spoke, she didn't wait for Su Zinger to respond, stood up and pulled her directly toward the main hall, gesturing to the maids to come and prepare the feast. Su Zinger, knowing Kai Shiken's temperament, wouldn't refuse further. She waved her hand to store the 5-colored demon zither in her body, then followed her toward the main hall, turning her head to see the continuously falling snowflakes above the bamboo grove. A subtle sense of reminiscence rose in her eyes. Unconsciously, she had already lived at the Governor Mansion for nearly 4 months. On April 20th, she and her 3 siblings followed their mentor Xia Hong, departing from Qinghua City. After traveling and stopping along the way for more than a month, they finally reached the largest city in western Kaiku, Linqiu County City, on the 7th day of June. Previously, when incidentally discussing Hu Taijiang with her 3 brothers, she had mentioned that Xia Hong intended to cultivate them against Kaiku. If at that time it carried a bit of speculation, then from Qinghua City to Linqiu County City over a month of traveling, Su Zinger was almost certain that Xia Hong indeed had that intention. Chapter 1420, Chapter 455, The Little Sisters Kai Shiken, Xia Hong in the Book Collection Tower Part 2. Because along the way, Xia Hong frequently took them to the slave village for tour, evidently to make them feel the difficulties and hardships of the lower classes. Coupled with occasional inquiries into their views on the 6-class system, the intent to guide them was too obvious. Not only Su Zinger but even her 3 brothers, Su Jing, could realize it. Of course, even if they figured it out, they showed no resistance. Aside from Xia Hong's immense favor upon them, they also deeply detested the 6-class system since their parents died because of their status. Naturally, these thoughts could only be buried deep within for the time being. As their master said, overthrowing a system that has been running for hundreds of years and has long been ingrained in people's minds is not something that can be done overnight. It's extremely difficult for him, let alone for the 4 siblings. Enhancing strength is the most crucial thing. To shake this system, at the very least, one needs a Xianyang-level cultivation to even have a bit of qualification. Remembering Xia Hong's words spoken on the road, Su Zinger narrowed her gaze slightly, hesitatingly dismissed these thoughts, and continued recalling the subsequent journey. With Qinghua City's experience, she anticipated that entering Linqiu County wouldn't surprise her much, but on the day they entered on June 7th, she and her 3 brothers were still deeply shaken. The Linqiu County authorities seemed to have long been aware that they were coming. On the day of entering the city, before they even formally entered, and right after verifying their identities at the city gate, they were courteously invited by the city guard army to the governor mansion, where Kai Qiyang's eldest son, the eldest Prince Kai Yunlin, personally led over 100 people from the mansion to welcome them. Such high-standard treatment once again refreshed Su Xinger's understanding of the master, Xia Hong's power, and it was at that moment that she clearly realized the true weight of Xia Hong's previous statement. There's no one in Qinghua City who can threaten me. Just like the time when they entered Qinghua City at the beginning of the year, on the night they entered Lin Chu County, Xia Hong was invited by the eldest prince to a banquet, but this time, the 4 siblings were also among those invited. After the banquet, the governor mansion directly arranged for them to stay at this guest villa, and later Xia Hong settled down with them at the governor mansion. Xia Hong occasionally went out, and it was unclear what he was up to. In any case, the treatment from the governor mansion toward the 4 siblings became increasingly excellent, with over 30 maids dispatched to them, and the household staff numbering over 100, all uniformly possessing cold resistance level cultivation. Especially last month, on September the 20th, the eldest prince sent people to deliver a new golden registration book to the 4 siblings, astonishingly upgrading their status directly to the highest Kai status, the 1st rank. That's why she's now dressed in a way equivalent to Kai Shiken, the commandery princess before her. Being inexplicably turned into Kai status offspring, if she were still the naive little girl from Evergreen Valley who knew nothing, she might laugh herself awake even in her dreams. But now it's different. After being subtly influenced by Master Xia Hong for almost a year and understanding what Xia Hong would need her to do in the future, Su Xinger no longer sees the magical allure in this so-called registration book. She clearly understands that regardless of their prestigious or common status, the 4 siblings are ultimately enjoying the benefits due to Master Xia Hong's glory, which bears no relation to themselves. Only by enhancing her strength and striving to help her master as early as possible, repaying his kindness, is the most important task for them at present. Living in the county city for nearly 4 months, Su Xinger never slacked off in her cultivation. When she departed from Qinghua City on April 20th, her basic strength was more than 9 mained, and now it has reached 16 mained. A 5-month improvement of 7 mained fully attests to her diligence. Her level of diligence even slightly unnerved Xia Hong, who specifically reminded her to pace her cultivation and encouraged her to leave the guest villa and make some peers in the governor mansion. Su Xinger naturally obeys Xia Hong's instructions. The little Princess Kai Shiken in front of her was someone she just met last month. It was a matter of chance. Su Xinger started learning the zither and altogether has been at it for only 5 months. Her initial zither learning stemmed from casually singing during the road trip in May. During a moment of boredom on the journey, she recalled the song Mo sung by Hu Taijiang when entering Qinghua City together previously. Her 3 brothers were taciturn, and Master Xia Hong wouldn't chat idly with them, so feeling really bored, Su Xinger began to sing. Her surprise, it immediately caught Xia Hong's attention. Having grown up in the rustic backwater of Evergreen Valley, Su Xinger would never imagine herself being associated with something like a zither, and when Xia Hong first presented this 5-colored ancient zither, she didn't even know it was a musical instrument. But once she picked it up, everything changed, especially after Master Xia Hong gave her a basic idea about the 5 tones of gong, shang, ju, zhai, and yu. She had an almost miraculous talent, mastering the 5 zither tones in less than a day. The subsequent experience was even more astonishing. Though she mastered the 5 tones playing method, she didn't have any sheet music and couldn't create a complete tune, so she could only blindly explore and randomly compose. But crafting a melody isn't so simple, is it? I've heard people say that any musical score, as long as infused with the creator's emotions, can touch people. Try this approach, see if it works. Chapter 1421, Chapter 455, Sisters Kai Shiken and Xia Hong in the book collection Tower /3. Ultimately, it was Xia Hong's casual remark that enlightened her, and thus the composition, Master's Grace, came into being. Looking back now, during the June banquet upon entering the mansion, when she performed her self-composed piano song, Master's Grace, Kai Shiken must have noticed her. However, due to her long retreat, Kai Shiken might not have had the opportunity to come looking for her. But when she proactively stepped out of the secluded courtyard last month, Kai Shiken received the news and promptly sent her maid to invite her. Only then did the two forge a meaningful connection. Contrast her half-baked piano skills with Kai Shiken's, which stand in stark difference. It's said that her name only changed after she was designated as a commandery princess, a testament to her deep love for the piano dao. Of course, love is secondary. The main thing is her level of skill. Landgrave Kaikyu Kai Kaichen deeply appreciates piano music, so much so that the entire feudal town under his command loves to listen to it. Various social occasions hosted by noble families often feature piano performances. Noblewomen and famous young ladies openly pursue piano culture. Even some ordinary folks listen and learn diligently. Such widespread popularity led to a high demand for piano music, elevating the status of piano masters in the feudal town remarkably. Of course, high status ultimately resulted in making it difficult to acquire performances. Inviting a piano master to perform requires a hefty fee. And Kai Shiken is currently among the most expensive in the Kai Q musician circle, charging 10,000 silver taels for a single performance. Of course, the main point isn't even her pricing, but her position. Non-nobles don't even have the qualification to invite her, regardless of how much money they may have. With such a piano virtuoso right in front of her, Su Zinger naturally seized the opportunity, hoping to learn from her. And Kai Shiken immensely appreciated her piano talent, complementing each other perfectly. The coincidence arose last month when, after formally meeting, they discovered that they were born on the same year, month, and day. With Su Zinger unaware of her birth hour, they even suspect they might have been born at the same moment. Already close through their mutual piano artistry, such extraordinary coincidence only accelerated their friendship, especially as Su Zinger realized over time that, despite Kai Shiken's talent and high status, she differs from other noble family sons, never using her position oppressively, always warm and harmonizing in her dealings, and radiating sympathy and compassion towards those of lower status. Most remarkably, she dedicates one day each month to visiting the various slums in Lin Chu County, not only to donate silver taels to the downtrodden, but also to perform piano music for them at no charge. Even without such extraordinary coincidences, this action alone greatly endeared Kai Shiken to Su Zinger, especially after she personally accompanied Kai Shiken to the slums last month and realized that it was not mere showmanship but genuine compassion for the underprivileged. She has thus regarded Kai Shiken as her true sister. In just over a month's time, their relationship has grown to the point of sharing meals and living quarters, causing some Kai family sons in the county mansion, particularly those initially close to Kai Shiken, to become envious. Zinger, quickly try this bowl of lushu noodles. Lushu is one of the finest ingredients from Chenkang and is rarely sold externally. Our entire governor mansion has a quota of 50,000 pounds annually, with much less after distribution among households. I don't often get to eat it myself. Try and tell me if it's delicious. Though Su Zinger was momentarily lost in thought, she recalled having tasted these noodles at a banquet 4 months ago upon seeing Kai Shiken present her with a bowl of fragrant brown noodles. However, seeing Kai Shiken's expectant face, she refrained from pointing this out, instead picking up a bamboo chopstick, taking a bite, savoring it carefully, calming the agitation in her blood, and finally exclaiming in excitement, "This is so delicious." Kai Shiken smiled joyfully at her response, her eyes curving into crescent shapes, giggling, "If you find it delicious, go ahead and have more. I enjoy them too, let's eat together." Seeing Kai Shiken so happy, Su Zinger couldn't help but laugh along, yet amidst her laughter, she couldn't resist a slight sigh inside. Though residing in the secluded courtyard, she has stayed for 4 months, gradually sensing the undercurrents of contention within the governor mansion. It's naturally understandable when you think about it. Lin Chu County's prefectural governor Kai Qiyang, a renowned tribulation body expert nearing 200 years, has over 30 sons alone, not counting the countless grandchildren, which surely number over 100 conservatively. Princely heir and commandery princess titles in Kai Q are actual noble titles, not mere honorable designations. As per Kai Q feudal town regulations, each governor mansion can appoint 5 princely heirs and 5 commandery princesses. With so many descendants living together, contesting for actual benefits and the governor's attention is inevitable. Contention is integral and unavoidable, especially with 10 noble titles at stake. Everyone wants to pull someone down and rise themselves, don't they? Kai Shiken could ascend to the commandery princess's position, owing to her exceptional talent, aptitude, strength, and undoubtedly her shrewdness and mind. However, after lengthy interaction, Su Zinger can clearly sense that she dislikes such a lifestyle, which explains her frequent visits. It's likely in front of herself, a friend with no conflicting interests. Kai Shikin can completely relax and be a truly 16-year-old girl. Chapter 1422, Chapter 455, Little Sisters Kai Shikin, Xia Hong in the book collection Tower /4. Sister Shikin, my master has been in the inner courtyard for 3 consecutive days. Do you know what he's doing there? After their meal, Su Zinger took the handkerchief handed to her by the maid and gently wiped her mouth. Suddenly remembering that her master, Xia Hong, hadn't returned to the side courtyard for 3 days, she couldn't help but curiously ask Kai Shikin. Senior Xia has been in the book collection tower these past 3 days. Uncle Yu Chiu invited him to the inner courtyard to guide the younger generation in martial arts. After teaching for 2 days, he said that the Kai family's martial arts weren't up to standard, which quite upset several of the uncles. Then Senior Xia immediately demonstrated 6 martial arts and said that as long as he could take a look in the book collection tower, he would give these 6 martial arts to the county mansion for free. The uncles immediately agreed. Kai Shikin paused after speaking, seemingly recalling something, and with a look of amazement continued, Zinger, Senior Xia's martial arts skills are incredibly strong. When Yu Chiu asked him to give guidance, I was present. Regardless of who it was or what martial arts technique they were performing, just by watching once, he could spot all the weaknesses. After his guidance, those techniques immediately transformed, increasing in power by 30 to 40%. Of course, in front of Kai Shikin, Su Zinger rarely revealed her true self. Hearing her praise Xia Hong, she couldn't help but beam with pride and continued. Master always said that when it comes to martial arts talent, there's no one in the 4 vassals stronger than him. Isn't that a bit of boastful talk? Kai Shikin thought to herself upon hearing this, but recalling the reactions of the dozen or so family patriarchs when Xia Hong gave his guidance, she nodded slightly, her eyes showing genuine agreement. They achoo. In the inner courtyard of the county mansion, on the 3rd floor of the book collection tower. While pretending to casually browse through a book, Xia Hong suddenly sneezed inexplicably. He quickly closed the book in his hand, shook his head with a strange expression, and sighed lightly in his heart. I've been away for more than a year. The 2 little ones at home must be missing me by now. 5 Luminaries Realm Cold Beast Atlas. Xia Hong glanced at the cover of the book in his hand, and a trace of excitement flickered deep in his pupils. He then nonchalantly placed the book back on the shelf, continuing to survey the bookshelf in front of him, occasionally pulling out a book to flip through. Million Forging Level Weapon Essentials, useless. 5 Methods of Cold Resistance Battle Body Qualification Enhancement, somewhat useful, though it's missing 2 compared to those in Great Chin. It's not too bad. Compilation of 4 vassals, rice and grain varieties, rice, gold, wheat, frozen millet. These kinds are all common in Great Chin, nothing surprising. Xia Hong flipped through the books one by one, frequently shaking his head and muttering a few words, his tone and expression filled with disdain for the content. Suddenly, he stopped in front of a bookshelf. Xianyang Level Breakthrough Essentials, Tribulation Body Realm Breakthrough Essentials. Looking at the 2 books on the shelf, a flash of excitement crossed Xia Hong's pupils. Suppressing his inner excitement, he first picked up a relatively unimportant book beside them and flipped through it for a while, before finally focusing on the 2 books. Different regions might have different breakthrough methods. Let's see what's here. He first reached for the Xianyang Level book, quickly flipping through it, and immediately shook his head, placing it back on the shelf. He then grabbed the other book. Similarly, he quickly read through it and put it back, the entire process devoid of any lingering glance, shaking his head before moving on to look for other categories of books. 5 Luminaries Realm Emperor Level Cold Beast, Tribulation Body Realm, so that's how it is. Now it all makes sense. Stopping again in front of a bookshelf, Xia Hong picked up a book to read, but if someone were watching from below, they'd notice his pupils were full of excitement, his mind clearly not on the book. Chapter 1423, Chapter 456, Young Men and Face Slapping, The Secret of the 5 Luminaries Tribulation Body, Dark Merchant Invitation, made the rankings. KQ Calendar, Year 297, October 10, early morning. Enough, it's time to go back. After spending 4 days in the Governor Mansion's book collection tower, Xia Hong gently yawned, stretched lazily, and placed a copy of Mo River 4 Vassal Areas back on the shelf. He looked around, shook his head, and directly headed downstairs. The harvest from this visit, to the book collection tower was immense. 6 martial arts skills, 1 castrated version of battle-style fist, 3 sets of saber techniques, and 2 sets of swordsmanship, all refined after sneaking and learning in Kaiku. The boost in power is at most 40%, giving them away won't hurt. Books, put simply, are knowledge, a summary of predecessors' experiences. Put on a grand scale, they are the ladder of human progress, so wherever they are extremely precious. This 3-story Kaiku book collection tower houses at least 10,000 books, covering geography, cultivation, harvesting, hunting, martial arts, cultivation, cold beast, and even deceitful monsters, almost every aspect there is. From these 10,000 books, the deep foundation of the feudal town can be seen. As a time traveler, Xia Hong naturally understands the importance of books. Before the first year of Great Xia, he had Xia Chuan begin compiling the Cold Beast record. Later, he had Yue Feng compile the De Xia Chronicle, and he himself participated in the formulation and compilation of Xia Li. Under his lordship's emphasis, from the 8 departments down to the common folk, there has already been a prevalent trend of book writing in Great Xia. Yet even so, in Great Xia, all the books formed that have collection significance total just over 400. If only all these 10,000 books could be moved back to Great Xia. Countless times in the past 5 days, such impulsive thoughts surged in Xia Hong's mind, but he naturally wouldn't truly act on them. Even though weak, he can feel that this 3-story small building houses at least 10 Xianyang-level presences, with a few that are not even weaker than him. Whether he can grab those books under their noses is another matter, and even if he did, could he smoothly leave this governor mansion? Of course, these are all idle talks. In summary, this book collection tower, which condenses Kaiku's nearly 300 years of historical experience and holds over 1,000 precious martial arts classics, naturally wouldn't let him in easily. 6 martial arts skills were the entrance fee Xia Hong submitted to the governor mansion. For Xia Hong, these 6 martial arts skills aren't particularly precious, but it's a different story for Kaiku. As early as the beginning of the year during a confrontation with Kai Yunju, Xia Hong had speculated that the martial arts level of Kaiku feudal town was inferior to Great Xia's. Kai Yunju is the city lord of Qinghua City, a direct 3rd-generation descendant of the Landgrave, needless to say about his identity and status. The martial arts he cultivates must be the finest in all of Kaiku. On the day of the battle at the city gate, his power only increased a little over 30% when he used the heaven-pulling sword technique, proving Kaiku's finest martial arts are roughly at this level. Subsequent months in Kaiku have already confirmed Xia Hong's speculation. The martial arts level of Great Xia, before my skills successfully transcended, only needs the long fist's force pattern to be refined to transformation realm to achieve a 30% boost. With martial arts techniques, the boost can reach an astonishing 50%. After transcending skills with law-level martial arts imitation and deconstruction, my understanding of martial arts reached a new height. Once the feudal town affairs are settled, this time returning, I can raise this boost even higher. Xia Hong's eyes brightened slightly, and he continued heading downstairs. In short, 6 martial arts skills with a maximum 40% boost are extremely precious to Kaiku, and they indeed secured him 5 days in the book collection tower. It's a win-win. Not only entering the book collection tower, but these 6 martial arts being gifted raises the credibility of my Dakin Prince identity in their eyes, thus further emphasizing my background and origins. Xia Hong's mouth formed a slight smile, and he quickly descended to the 1st floor, heading towards the exit. In the governor mansion alone, there are no fewer than 1,000 Kai clan direct descendants, and counting the maids and servants, there are over 20,000 in the entire mansion. Thus many people naturally enter and exit the book collection tower regularly. Though Xia Hong wore only a simple black silk garment, without any accessories on his head or waist, upon seeing him come down from upstairs, people dared not slight him, only showed a bit of curiosity. Quickly, he reached the doorway. At the entrance of the book collection tower, there was a recliner where an elderly man with gray hair, full of wrinkles, dressed in a simple blue cotton outfit, lay on it. His eyes were closed, barely breathing, exhibiting a near-death posture. Those entering and exiting the tower mostly ignored the old man, except Xia Hong, who, passing by his side, merely nodded slightly at him. This elder in blue, with basic strength of at least 50 jun, is stronger than the eldest Prince Kai Yunlin, the strongest person I've encountered since entering the mansion nearly 4 months ago. Yet, none of the Kai clan descendants entering and exiting the book collection tower recognize him. Xia Hong couldn't help but sigh inwardly, clearly understanding it's not simply that these Governor Mansion descendants are oblivious, but rather that the Governor Mansion, or the core upper echelons of the Kai clan, are incredibly secretive, with most of the Kai clan descendants unaware of the true powerhouses within their own family. Chapter 1424, Chapter 456, Young Men and Face Slapping, The Secret of the 5 Yao Tribulation Body, Dark Merchant Invitation, Making the Rankings /2. After all, it's an aristocratic family that has thrived for nearly 300 years, so it's not considered excessive. Young Prince, gentlemen, the book collection tower has arrived, please. Just as Xia Hong stepped out of the main door, a large man-powered carriage happened to stop in front of the tower. A man dressed as a steward spoke while reaching out to pull open the curtain of the carriage. A young man dressed in green jade-colored brocade clothing, wearing a silver crown, with complete accessories, who appeared to be around 18 or 19 years old based on his facial features, was evidently the young prince mentioned by the steward. He quickly leapt down from the carriage. For some reason, the young prince was frowning ever since he got off the carriage. After the young prince stood still, 8 young men and women, 5 males and 3 females, successively jumped down from the carriage. Although they did not wear silver crowns, the number of accessories they had was almost identical to the young prince's. However, at this moment, Xia Hong no longer had the mind to observe the 8 people that followed. Upon clearly seeing the young prince's face, a trace of astonishment flashed in his eyes. Nothing more, it's simply because he's seen this young prince before. This frowning young prince was none other than Kai Shiki, whom Xia Hong saw personally at the entrance to bone-eroding path on the other side of the 9 towns last year on August 25. Xia Hong remembered clearly that the one responsible for escorting Kai Shiki and his party at that time was someone they called Advisor Zhu, at Xianyang level. Having stayed in Qinghua City for 4 months, Xia Hong also learned a lot of useful information. The position of advisor in Kai Qiu is not considered low. Only 4 governor mansions have the authority to establish it. It's considered the governor's trusted confidant, with the power to mobilize the elite town guard army under the governor. Each governor mansion only set up 3 advisors, so in total, there are only 12 in Kai Qiu. Through probing inquiries, Xia Hong had already figured out Zhu Yan's specific information. Kai Qiu Basui County's advisor Zhu Yan, with late-stage Xianyang cultivation, 19 Jun in power. Thinking about it, it actually makes sense. Bone-eroding path is within Evergreen Valley, which is under the jurisdiction of Qinghua City, and Qinghua City belongs to Baishui County's territory. Thus, Zhu Yan is evidently from Baishui County. Naturally, by extension, this young prince named Kai Shiki in front of him is very likely also part of Baishui County's prefectural governor Kai Qiuhong's lineage. If they had encountered each other in Qinghua City, or in Baishui County City, Xia Hong would not have reacted, but encountering him in Lin Chu County City is indeed an unusual coincidence. However, the coincidences apparently don't stop here. The 8 young men and women who came down later saw Kai Shiki's frowning face, and after exchanging glances, began to console him one by one. "Third brother, there's no need to worry. Your severed finger has been reattached, and such minor meridian damage is no big deal. It will be fully healed in a month at most." "That's right. Young Prince, the blood miasma plane trial officially starts in November. There are still 20 days left. It won't affect your participation." "Third brother, don't be angry. After the trial ends next year, we'll gather our forces and go to Southern Slope territory to kill that wretched person and avenge the blood." "Kill?" Frowning Kai Shiki, upon hearing his sister Kai Minju's words, immediately turned around and interrupted her with a loud question. Then his face showed overwhelming hatred as he fiercely growled. "Just killing directly, wouldn't that be letting that wretched person off too easily? Next year, I'll lead people to cripple her first, then we'll seize everyone from the upper echelons of the Great Xia, drag them back to Kai Qiu, and all cast them into slave status. The men will serve as dogs in Bai Shui County Mansion for generations, and the women will all be sent to the army as camp followers. I want." Before Kai Shiki could finish speaking, he suddenly noticed something and looked up towards the entrance of the book collection tower, finding a youth dressed in black silk looking at his severed finger on his right hand. Already furious, his face flushed with color, his pupils almost burning. He raised his hand, pointing at the youth in black, angrily shouting, "You vile wretch, what are you looking at? Do you believe this, prince? I'll immediately find someone to gouge your eyes out." "Huh?" Kaishiki's voice was loud, and those coming in and out were startled. Everyone stood in their tracks and the scene instantly froze. What people hadn't noticed was that the old man in green, who had been seemingly asleep on a recliner, now slightly opened his tightly shut eyes, glanced at Kaishiki, shook his head, and then closed his eyes again. Meanwhile, the focus of everyone's attention, Xia Hong, who had been fiercely cursed by Kaishiki, raised his head slowly. He watched as Kaishiki used that finger which had already been cut off once, pointing at him. His face expressionless, he just quietly watched. Whose vile spawn dares not to quickly come and kneel to apologize to the young prince? This is by Shui County young Prince Kaishiki. Quickly come and bow in apology. Third brother is not one to kill indiscriminately. Today his mood is just off. Quickly kneel and apologize to him. He won't do anything to you. "Huh?" The 8 young men and women behind Kaishiki obviously felt Xia Hong was stunned in fear, and they followed up with their angry insults. Finally, the woman took a benevolent approach, saying a mediating word for Kaishiki while earnestly advising Xia Hong. Even in their own family mansion, they dare to treat people without asking their background or reason in such a manner. These Kai family disciples are truly arrogant. While in his heart, Xia Hong had already sentenced Kaishiki to death, he couldn't suppress a silent sigh. When the opponent mentioned the upper echelons of Great Xia earlier, Xia Hong had been somewhat suspecting, and after assessing the injury of his severed finger, it became more apparent. Chapter 1425. Chapter 456. Young Men and Face Slapping, the secret of the 5 luminaries tribulation body, Dark Merchant Invitation, made the rankings /3. Although Kaishiki is arrogant, his talent is indeed impressive. He looks at most 20 years old, yet his basic strength has already reached 56 zong. From the marks on the severed finger, it can be roughly discerned that it was wounded by a sword edge, clean and decisive, not the outcome of a bitter struggle. Not to mention Great Xia, throughout the 9 towns territory, there is only one woman who could do this. The males have been lackeys in my Bai Shui County mansion for generations, while all the females have been sent to the army as camp prostitutes. Recalling the unfinished words by Kaishiki just now, Xia Hong suddenly found himself without even the desire to be angry, and a smile slowly surfaced on his face. Cheapa. When that smile appeared on his face, Kaishiki realized that the other party was not struck dumb at all, and he could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. This time, he not only spoke but even drew the longsword at his waist and walked towards Xia Hong. "Pa." Unfortunately, he had just taken 2 steps forward when an elderly person dressed in a blue brocade robe suddenly appeared and slapped him, flying over 10 meters away with one stroke. "Papa." But it wasn't over. The elder quickly stepped forward a few steps and continued to reward each of the 8 young men and women who previously voiced support with a slap. His strength was not light. After the slapping, the 9 people, including Kaishiki, who flew over 10 meters, immediately went silent. Anger filled their faces, but when they got up and raised their heads, they were scared stiff as they saw the elder in the blue brocade robe, and hurriedly knelt. "Greetings, Uncle Ching." "Greetings, Ancestor Yun Ching." The Kai family has spanned nearly 300 years, with at least close to 10 generations now. Interestingly, apart from the 2nd and 3rd generation disciples, whose names incorporate the characters Runkyu and Yun strictly, the names of the other disciples are taken randomly, which broadly indicates that Kai Q's Landgrave Kai Kaienshin only has some feelings for the 2nd and 3rd generation disciples. However, among the 4 great commanderies, there is another rule that regardless of the generation of disciples, as long as they are granted the title of princely heir, they have the privilege to change the middle character of their name to she, while females change it to she. This is both a mark of honor and a distinction. Xia Hong had inquired in Qinghua City before. Kaishiki's original name was Kai Ziki. His father Kai Yunsheng, like Zhu Yan, was one of the 3 advisors of Bai Shui County. Kai Yunsheng had a son in his over 100 years of age. Thus, although Kaishiki is young, his generation is actually not of low rank. He belongs to the 4th generation, naturally addressing Kai Yunking as uncle. The other 8 young people, only one of whom is female, also calls uncle, while the remaining 7 young men address Kai Yunking as granduncle. They should all be descendants of the Kai family by Shui County of the 5th generation and beyond. All of you have eaten the heart of a bear and the gall of a leopard. Dare to disrespect the elder's esteemed guest of the eldest prince. First slap yourselves 10 times, then apologize to Elder Hong quickly. Elder Hong. The 9 people, including Kai Shiki, realized at this point that they'd hit a wall. Looking at Xia Hong's excessively youthful face and his attire, which seemed exceedingly simple to them, they were at first stunned for a few seconds. Papa. Nonetheless, they quickly figured it out, raised their hands to slap their own faces fervently, completing 10 slaps before stopping, then stood up and walked to Xia Hong, bowing deeply. Junior people are ignorant, offending elder, please forgive us. Of course, Xia Hong would not waste words with dead people. With a face full of smiles, he waved his hand, adopting the posture of an elder, and said, "No need for that, Hong is not a petty person. Ignorance is no sin, you may leave." Seeing he was appeased, only then did a smile appear on Kai Yunking's face. He waved to disperse Kai Shiki and the others, then cupped his hands toward Xia Hong and said, "The juniors in the mansion don't understand how high the heavens are and spoke nonsense to the Hong prince. We sincerely apologize for this. How about this? Kai will take responsibility and grant 2 additional days for Hong Prince to continue browsing through all the books in the tower. How does that sound?" Xia Hong waved his hand and said, "Advisor Kai need not do so. As the princely heir has just arrived, merely visiting the book collection tower to learn more about the customs of the Mo River for vassals, 5 days is enough. The 6 martial arts doors promised earlier have been left in the tower. Hong is going back to the side courtyard first." After saying this, he cupped his hands and walked directly toward the direction of the side courtyard. "Have a safe journey, Hong Prince." Kai Yunking smiled as he watched Xia Hong, and when Xia Hong had walked far, he immediately restrained the smile on his face and glanced at the elderly person in blue at the entrance of the book collection tower. Although the elderly person's eyes were tightly closed, they clearly noted Kai Yunking's glance. He said nothing, simply half lying down and gently shaking his head. Seeing the elder nod, Kai Yunking's brow sank slightly. Even old Nai cannot discern the issues, then the identity of this Hong prince has at least 60 to 70% credibility. Only at the year's end in the blood miasma plane can County Father discern further. Great Qin, Great Qin. Within this Great Qin feudal town, even a mere princely heir possesses such strength, is every corner filled with masters. The key is this critical moment, sending over a princely heir with such power. What is the intention? Merely a show of force, or is there a scheme against the 4 vassals? Kai Yunking stood still with furrowed brow, sighed slightly at last. Just as I surmised at first during early-stage Xianyang, bone appearance is only in its initial form. In the mid-stage, the meridians emerge; in the late stage, flesh and blood grow, and at the peak, when the skin membrane appears, then bone appearance is in its complete form, capable of wholly manifesting in confrontation, known as the golden body battle form. However, the size of bone appearance varies depending on the level of the bone structure. At the side courtyard of the governor mansion, Xia Hong, who had just returned, sat alone on the soft couch in the room, recalling the contents of the books he had perused at the book collection tower earlier, with excitement filling his pupils. Chapter 1426, Chapter 456, Youths and Face Slapping, The Secret of the 5 Luminaries Tribulation Body, Dark Merchant Invitation Letter, Making the Rankings Part 4. According to the description in that book, the 1000 Jang bone appearance I manifest during combat is merely a shadow image of the bone appearance battle body. The true bone appearance battle body is the one I can summon during each cultivation session. Currently, it stands at 6 Jang tall with mid-stage cultivation, and after breakthrough to the late stage, it's projected to be 9 Jang. However, the book mentions that at the peak of Xianyang, the golden body battle form has limits. Iron bone can reach up to 3 Jang, silver bone 4 Jang, gold bone 6 Jang. Jade bone is the ultimate limit at 9 Jang golden body. Therefore, as my bone-burning talent progresses to the peak of manifested Yang level, it will once again defy the conventions of the ice abyss and form a golden body battle form that exceeds 9 Jang. Upon reaching this conclusion, Xia Hong's expression showed excitement only momentarily before calming down. It's something that was anticipated. For both the breakthroughs in the earth-digging and cold resistance levels, he defied conventions, so naturally, this stage of the manifest level won't be an exception either. His only curiosity now is about how powerful a golden body battle form is once summoned by a strong person at the peak of Xianyang realm. Kai Yunking only has an ability of 28 Jun, highly likely at the late stage cultivation, so she surely doesn't possess a golden body battle form. However, the elderly man in blue at the book collection tower's entrance with over 50 Jun ability is likely a strong person at the peak of Xianyang realm. If he summons his golden body battle form, his ability would surely increase significantly. If possible, I'd love to spar with him. Xia Hong chuckled, dismissing the impractical notion. In all of Kaiku, if you count Landgrave Kai Kainshin, there are only 5 Tribulation Body Realm experts openly noted. Excluding them, strong individuals at the peak of manifested Yang level are the top figures, with limited numbers not to mention. Their status must be high. How could anyone casually spar with them? To break through the peak of manifested Yang level, achieving the War Body Golden Body, and then reaching the Tribulation Body Realm, one must continue developing the Golden Body organs, abbreviated as opening the organs. This so-called opening the organs is using vast quantities of 5 elements tribulation chi to impact the golden body, and at the crossroads of life and death, force the golden body to self-produce the first organ. As this process is 100 times more painful than Xianyang tempering bone, with a high risk of dying, it is called the 5 elements tribulation. Surviving it allows one to achieve tribulation body. This realm is no longer divided into early, mid, late, or peak stages like previous levels, but is segmented by the number of times the 5 elements tribulation is endured, ranging from first turn to 5th turn, with 5th turn being the peak. Typically, vast quantities of 5 elements tribulation chi exist in 2 places. Firstly, the naturally occurring 5 elements forbidden land in ice abyss, such as eternal volcanoes, icebergs that remain unfrozen for millennia, sentient mountains and forests, etc. Secondly, within the bodies of 5 luminaries realm emperor-level cold beasts. Thus, this corresponds once again. Low-level cold beasts are essential resources for 2 realms, logging and earth-digging cultivation. Intermediate cold beast blood corresponds to the peak of the earth-digging realm. High-level beast bones correspond to the cold resistance level. Beast king level bones then correspond to the manifested yang level. At present, the 5 luminaries realm emperor-level cold beast corresponds to breakthrough to the tribulation body realm as a crucial resource. Not only for opening the organs, but even after the breakthrough, completing the entire tribulation body realm cultivation process requires developing the first organ, nurturing it, and solidifying it. Subsequently, based on the sequence of 5 elements mutual generation, other 4 organs are developed in succession, and this process relies heavily on 5 elements tribulation chi. Thus, emperor-level cold beasts are supposed to be essential resources for tribulation body cultivation. Of course, 5 elements tribulation chi isn't only found in emperor-level cold beasts. It's also present in naturally occurring 5 elements forbidden land in ice abyss. The question is, can you dare visit such places? Eternal volcanoes, icebergs that remain unfrozen for millennia, sentient mountains and forests. Just based on the book's literal descriptions, the danger level of these places can be roughly inferred. To put it another way, if you indeed found such beneficial locations, can you assure that there's nothing more terrifying than emperor-level cold beasts inside? In contrast, 5 luminaries realm cold beasts are clearly a better choice for humans. But who serves as whose cultivation resource isn't determined yet. Xia Hong suddenly recalled something from the book, and a peculiar smile formed on his face. Tribulation body realm means 2 things. One is the aforementioned enduring of 5 elements tribulation. The other refers to the human organs of this realm being enticingly precious cultivation resources for 5 luminaries realm emperor-level cold beasts and calamity-level deceitful monsters, hence termed as tribulation of oneself. Weaker 5 luminaries realm emperor-level cold beasts, holding any of the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, or earth, can be slightly easier to deal with. The strongest emperor-level cold beasts, holding 5 elements tribulation chi, immune to water and fire, impervious to poison, and with bodies difficult to break, showing almost no weakness. Even human experts at 5th turn tribulation body realm face dying if targeted by them outside. Calamity-level deceitful monsters at this level aren't just about having strong means. The key is they utilize humans to approach and hunt down targets, making them practically unassailable. Hence, tribulation body realm experts typically avoid unfamiliar areas and even strive to conceal their whereabouts, never staying long in one place, fearing to attract mighty deceitful monsters and cold beasts. The more crowded the area, the less likely they'll remain for long. So could it be that Kai Qiang is simply not in Linqiu County City? The peculiarity on Xia Hong's face steadily faded, replaced by a touch of gravity. The experiences placed at the book collection tower in Kai Qiu are almost certainly true, proving that, although humans gain strength upon reaching the tribulation body realm, the entire camp situation along with their own vulnerability becomes even more precarious. Chapter 1427, Chapter 456, Youth and Face Slapping, The Secret of the Five Luminaries Tribulation Body, Dark Merchant Invitation, and Making the Rankings /5. What is this? Is the ice abyss a tempering for humans or a suppression? Or perhaps, the main characters of the ice abyss aren't humans at all, but rather cold beasts and deceitful monsters? Xia Hong shook his head. He was only at the mid-stage of Xianyang cultivation, and this issue was clearly not something for him to worry about at this stage. I've basically understood the two realms of Xianyang and Tribulation Body. I've also gotten a general grasp of the situation in Kai Qiu, and the things I came here to do are almost finished. Just from Kai Shiki's words just now and his severed finger, Xia Hong could pretty much deduce the general situation on the side of the 9 towns. Xuanling directly acted against Kai Shiki, which means that Great Xia has already clashed head-on with the people from the vassal towns. I initially told her and Xia Chuan that it was not wise to openly antagonize the vassal towns before the 9 towns formed an alliance, which means the 9 towns have likely formed an alliance successfully. Seeing Kai Shiki's reaction, plans might already be made to take action next year. Thinking of this, Xia Hong shook his head, not worried in the least. With the bone-eroding path blocking the way, Kai Qiu couldn't possibly send a large army over. Just a few Xianyang-level cultivators going to cause trouble for Great Xia is far from sufficient, let alone the 9 towns having successfully formed an alliance. To put it bluntly, even if a Tribulation Body Realm expert personally came, it wouldn't be enough to completely crush the 9 towns alliance. Furthermore, given Kai Shiki's status, getting someone of that level to stand up for him is virtually impossible. Why bother thinking about such things? He won't even live until next year. Coming to Linqiu County City now is likely for next month's blood miasma plane trial. I've already received an invitation from Kai Yunlin. I'll just find some secluded place and kill him. Xia Hong let out a cold laugh twice, then recalled the blood miasma plane trial, his eyes gleaming. His most crucial goals coming to the vassal towns are threefold: to figure out his own cultivation issues, to assess the strength of the 2 vassal towns, and to determine how long until the 2 vassal towns officially march south. The first goal has just been achieved. The second, though he's only seen Kai Qiu, he actually can infer Chen Kang's strength through Kai Qiu. As for the third goal, he's only partially figured it out. Kai Qiu not marching south from Jinshan Town is because the bone-eroding path is blocking the way. Based on his personal experience crossing the bone-eroding path last August, if Kai Qiu had a way to deal with that Black Wind General, he would have already made efforts to resolve it. Since it's unresolved, and even each time crossing the territory, he must obediently offer living people to that Black Wind General, it can only mean Kai Qiu has no way to deal with that Black Wind General. From this, it is deduced that Kai Qiu will not be able to invade the 9 towns from the bone-eroding path side for a long time. Thus, like Chen Kang, if Kai Qiu wants to invade the 9 towns' territory, he can only focus on the area of the blood miasma plain. According to information I've gathered these past few months, the 2 vassal towns indeed have a large number of town guard troops stationed in the blood miasma plain region now. Kai Qiu has even sent the Silver Scale Army under Landgrave's command, and Chen Kang is likely not far behind. The 2 armies, one east and one west, form a pincers, probably cooperating with each other to either clear the area or connect the entire blood miasma plain region, all in preparation for southward expansion. It's just right to use this trial to go over and take a look at their progress. Once I'm back, I can formulate a response. Firm on the thought of returning, Xia Hong immediately began to plan in his mind what he should do for the remaining time in the vassal towns. Suddenly, he thought of something, reached into the yellow mustard bag and took out a delicately crafted invitation made of pure silver. The front of the invitation was emblazoned with 5 gold letters, Yang City Invitation, with 2 smaller words Dark Merchant printed above them. I almost forgot about you. Xia Hong patted his head, looked down at the text on the invitation, his face full of both surprise and shock. This Yang City Invitation had mysteriously appeared in his room last month's 8th day. Being a guest here, Xia Hong wouldn't treat this small courtyard as home. He carried his yellow mustard bag with him wherever he went, and with servants frequently in and out of the room, strange new items appearing unexpectedly wasn't too unusual. But last month, upon suddenly seeing this Yang City invitation, he was shocked, especially after consulting the four siblings of Su Jing and probing the servants who had entered his room that day, confirming that it was indeed a stranger who stealthily delivered it. This left him deeply shaken inside. The terms dark merchant and Yang City, Xia Hong first heard them 3 years ago, in September of the 7th year of Daxia, right after he just broke through to the Xianyang level and first headed to the territory of Beishuo town. He remembered clearly that time he encountered a cold resistance level elder halfway named Zhu Yang, the dean of the Beishuo inspection office. Seeing that the elder only possessed lower war body talent, yet had a combat prowess of 27 mained, and since Great Xia hadn't yet developed Dan medicine to allow those at the peak of cold resistance level to continue enhancing their strength, he directly blocked the elder and questioned him. Dark Merchant Organization, Mo's 10th Town, Yang City Invitation. He learned about these things from Zhu Yang, and his first reaction was that this dark merchant was definitely concocted by one or more of the 9 towns working in unison, inevitably involving a large number of the high-level officials from each town. But subsequent events left him puzzled. Initially, this dark merchant appeared to have vanished completely from the 9 towns after the chaos at Daju Temple. At first, Xia Hong thought they were hiding deeply, so when Great Xia launched trade 2 years ago in July, he immediately informed Qiu Peng and Lin Kai about the dark merchant, urging them to suppress it vigorously, and if they could trace and destroy the organization root and branch, that would be even better. Chapter 1428, Chapter 456, Young Men and Face Slapping, The Secret of 5 Yao Tribulation Body, Dark Merchant Invitation, listed on the ranking /6. However, Qiu Peng and Lin Kai searched for more than a year, even with cooperation from the towns of Jiangxia and Mayan, but they couldn't find a single clue. Since then, Xia Hong slowly and completely forgot about the dark merchant matter. Who would have thought that they couldn't find it in the 9 towns, but unexpectedly ran into it here in KQ. So this dark merchant isn't an organization based in the 9 towns territory at all. It's just that for some reason in the past 2 years, they haven't been operating in the 9 towns territory. Even the governor mansion has their people. It's nothing to casually deliver a post to my courtyard. The key is, how did they know I urgently need a large quantity of washing marrow pills and top-grade bone-shedding pills? Opening the invitation, the first line was striking. This year in Yang City, the market will officially open on the 9th of December. Please keep the invitation safe. The secret method for entering Yang City will automatically appear at that time. Those interested in entering should follow the secret method's guidance to join. The second line follows. Yang City offers a large quantity of washing marrow pills, top-grade bone-shedding pills, and various other treasures for sale. Xia Hong repeatedly examined the invitation, his face full of astonishment. He had tried both solidified fire oil and the yellow candle, and the invitation was really made of ordinary silver, without any deceitful object energy. This was interesting. He had been at the ice abyss for over a decade, and such bizarre things actually had no connection to deceitful monsters or deceitful objects. This was beyond his understanding. The 9th of December, by that time I should be in the blood miasma plane. First, I need to see what this secret method is all about, and if there's no risk. Jing jing jing, jing. Xia Hong was in deep contemplation when suddenly, a melodic sound of a zither echoed from within the courtyard. Interrupted, he showed no signs of annoyance, placed the Yang City invitation into the yellow mustard bag, and closed his eyes to carefully listen. The zither melody was expansive like distant mountains, long as if speaking, the rhythm majestic and captivating, and as it gradually reached its peak, a clear female voice gently joined in harmony and sang. The Chu River flows swiftly, and Yuezhi stands loftily. Ripe grains fill the fields, and cooking smoke curls around the beams. The strings and songs never cease, passing the fire of tradition. The scenes of the homeland are bright and glorious. In the courtyard, Su Zinger, dressed in a white gown, finished the song and stopped the music by pressing her fingers on the strings. Only then did she notice Xia Hong, dressed in black, standing at the door watching her, and her face instantly tensed up. Not bad this Chu wind, you played is no worse than chickens. Upon hearing Xia Hong's praise, the tension on Su Zinger's face vanished instantly, and her eyes immediately shaped like crescents in delight as she stood up and said to Xia Hong, "If Master likes it, Zinger will play for you every day." Xia Hong shook his head with a smile, looked at the five-colored zither in her hands and said, "I gave you the five-colored demon zither not just for you to use it to play music. It's a weapon. Its main function is to face the enemy. You should spend more time studying methods to confront enemies. Playing music for entertainment is fine, but being obsessed is not." Hearing Xia Hong's admonition, Su Zinger immediately stood up, cupped her hands in seriousness and said, "Zinger will remember Master's teachings." Xia Hong nodded, just preparing to head back to his room, when Su Zinger hurriedly called out to stop him. "Master, Sister Shikin told me today that in November, the Governor Mansion is organizing a blood miasma plane trial. She wants to invite me and my three brothers to participate. I heard a lot of good things can be gained from the trial, so Zinger wants to join." Xia Hong turned back to look at Su Zinger, hinting at surprise. "Sister Shikin invited you to participate in the blood miasma plane trial. Are you that close with Kai Shikin?" This blood miasma plane trial is indeed very beneficial to those at the cold resistance level. Even children from the Kai family cannot all participate, yet Kai Shikin surprisingly invited all four of Su Zinger's siblings. This relationship is quite unusual indeed. Seeing the surprise on Xia Hong's face, Su Zinger said proudly, "Of course, my relationship with Sister Shikin is not just ordinary." Xia Hong smiled and shook his head, saying, "All right then, you can go. I'll also be going to the blood miasma plane next month. You four can go with me then." "Master is also going." Su Zinger was stunned upon hearing this, but immediately her face filled with joy. Suddenly she remembered something, took out a booklet from her bosom and ran quickly to Xia Hong, presenting it like a treasure and said with a smile, "Sister Shikin just sent this to me, Master. You're now a renowned figure in the Mo River." The cover of the booklet boldly had the words "Heavenly List." Seeing the words "Heavenly List," Xia Hong immediately had a premonition. Su R was more anxious than him and directly flipped the booklet to a specific page. Heavenly List rank 46, Hong Yu, Dakin Prince, on the 17th of January, KQ calendar 297, narrowly defeated Kai Q Sword Saint Kai Yunju in Qinghua City, strength suspected to be above 25 Jun. Sure enough, he made it onto the list. Chapter 1429, Chapter 457, True and False Yang Jun, Strength and Trials, Teaming Episode, Kai Q's Foundations. "All right, you go practice." Xia Hong waved Su Zinger away, then looked down at the Heavenly List book in his hand, shaking his head slightly. Since he left the bone-eroding path for Evergreen Valley last August, he has been in Kai Q for over a year. During this time, he lived in Qinghua City for 4 months, spent a month on the road, and then stayed in Linqiu County City for 4 months. His understanding of Kai Q and the entire 4 great feudal towns is substantial. The number of Xianyang-level individuals in Kai Q is conservatively estimated to be over 100, considering that he hasn't even visited the core towns of Kai Q. Even if we double that estimate, it wouldn't exceed 300. Thus, in the entire 4 great feudal towns, the number of Xianyang-level individuals could not exceed 3 digits. According to Xia Hong's observations, the population of Kai Q is undoubtedly over 20 million, so the total population of the 4 great feudal towns probably isn't far from 100 million. With such a large population, having less than 1,000 Xianyang-level individuals makes their proportion extraordinarily significant, ensuring the Xianyang level's high status in the 4 great feudal towns, even if it isn't as supreme as in the 9 towns' territory. Among such a group, selecting the 100 strongest and ranking them, there is no other force with the qualification or ability other than the 4 great feudal towns' official organizations. His inclusion in the list directly proved this point. Looking at his brief information on the list page, Xia Hong shook his head again. Many saw his fight with Kai Yunju, but in Qinghua City at the time, only Kai Yunju who fought with him could tell he had won. Thus, his ascendance on the heavenly list must have been due to Kai Yunju leaking the news. As Su Zinger said, his appearance on the list made him a famous figure in the Mo River area, with the name Hong Yu known throughout the 4 great feudal towns. Xia Hong is not one to seek attention, especially since his purpose in Mo River's territory isn't simple. However, the situation is already settled, and blaming Kai Yunju serves no purpose. He first shook his head, then continued to peruse with curiosity. This list being officially compiled, must have some reference value regarding the top-level Xianyang experts in the 4 feudal towns. Xia Hong didn't waste any time and started reading from the first page. Heavenly List Rank 1. Heavenly Demon Slayer Li Dingyang, Weibo Qingyang County, a 5th-generation descendant of the Landgrave's lineage, peak of Xianyang realm cultivation, KQ calendar year 289, aged 58, at Cold Wave Lake on the northern Weibo border, beheaded 5 luminaries realm water beast emperor green demon flood dragon, becoming legendary in one battle, recognized as the foremost under the tribulation body realm in the 4 great feudal towns. Level crossing, killing a beast emperor higher than one's own cultivation realm. This Li Dingyang, is he really such a monster? Upon finishing the first page, Xia Hong was stunned, his face full of shock. He can also fight opponents of higher ranks, but he crosses smaller realms, and those against humans. The cultivation realms of humans correspond with the levels of cold beasts, yet the common rule in the ice abyss is that cold beasts at the same level essentially overpower humans. For instance, low-level cold beasts crush the logging realm, intermediates crush the earth-digging realm, advanced crush the cold resistance level, beast kings crush the Xianyang level. Humans initially break this rule at the cold resistance level by enhancing their war body talent to close the gap with advanced cold beasts, and if the war body talent is inadequate, they can resort to Dan medicine. Then, reaching the Xianyang level, things normalize again. To date, the lowest power of Beast King level cold beasts Xia Hong has faced was over 9 Jun, and based on his breakthrough experience, if he broke through at the normal iron bone level, his final strength would be only 3 Jun even he struggled in such situations, let alone others. When speculating on realm strength, Xia Hong typically doesn't use himself as a reference point. His situation is simply too unique to find another example. For someone as talented as him, upon breaking through to the Xianyang level, his strength at most reaches 10 Jun, barely comparable to the weakest Beast King level, and he has yet to encounter someone more talented than himself. Consequently, like during the cold resistance level, when an average person breaks through to the Xianyang level, they are invariably crushed by Beast King level cold beasts. To bridge the strength gap, they can only use Dan medicine to cultivate and boost their cultivation. Continuing this reasoning, a beast emperor's strength surely surpasses ordinary tribulation body realm experts. Yet this Li Dingyang hasn't even reached the tribulation body realm cultivation. He's only at the peak of the Xianyang realm. This is like he eliminated a Beast King level cold beast at his peak cold resistance cultivation, which is simply impossible. Xia Hong's pupils were filled with shock as he continued reading Li Dingyang's data, finding no further description of his abilities beyond the Beast Emperor kill, so he steadied himself before continuing to the next page. Heavenly List Rank 2. Heshuo Sword God Li Wuji, Weibo Heshuo County, a 4th-generation descendant of the Landgrave's lineage, uncle to Li Dingyang, peak of Xianyang realm cultivation, KQ calendar year 287, age 68, surrounded by 3 wood element beast emperor level snow phoenixes near Qinghua City in Basui County, ultimately escaped with his life. Another one who faced off against beast emperors, and it was at Snow Phoenix Mountain. When in Qinghua City, Xia Hong happened to visit Snow Phoenix Mountain, where he obtained the 5-colored demon zither from the White Phoenix Forest under Snow Phoenix Mountain. Being hunted by 3 Beast Emperor-level Snow Phoenixes and then successfully escaping alive, Li Wuji's achievement is clearly not as impressive as Li Dingyang's. However, Xia Hong, who personally hunted advanced Snow Phoenixes, knows that the most formidable aspect of these creatures is their speed. Chapter 1430, Chapter 457, The Real and Fake Yang Zhun, Power and Trials, a Teeming Interlude, Kaikiu's Hidden Strength /2. The speed of an advanced Snow Phoenix already rivals that of an ordinary Xianyang level, and as for those at the Beast King level, there's no need to mention them. The Beast Emperor level Snow Phoenix had a narrow escape being hunted by 3 Beast Emperor level Snow Phoenixes known for their speed. Reflecting on 8 months ago, standing atop an ice sword tree in the White Phoenix Forest, feeling those sharp gazes from the mountain peak. Now looking at Li Wuji's record, Xia Hong didn't see it as unimpressive, but rather thought its gold content was even more significant than that of the first-ranked Li Dingyang. Yet there was still no specific description of Li Wuji's strength. Xia Hong frowned and continued to read patiently. Third on the Heavenly List, Heavenly Scion Divine Sword Li Biabo, Weibo Qingwu County, a descendant of the Landgrave's 5 generations, together with Li Dingyang, known as the Weibo Double Marvels, with peak of Xianyang realm cultivation. KQ calendar year 291, age 39, defeated Fu Kainaming in the Hezeng town. At that time, Fu Kainaming was at the first transformation tribulation body realm, with a strength of about 105 Jun. Finally, there is first transformation tribulation body realm, 105 Jun strength. Finally having a reference for the tribulation body realm, Xia Hong's eyes showed a touch of excitement. After carefully finishing reading the information of the third rank, couldn't help showing a look of amazement. This year, only 45 years old with peak of Xianyang realm cultivation, this Li Beiabao's qualifications are comparable to mine and Xuanling's, indeed a feudal town, truly a place where hidden talents lie. However, this Weibo. Xia Hong's eyes flashed with a different color, pondering for a moment before quickly continuing to flip through. In no time, he finished reading the top 20 rankings. The top 3 are all from Weibo, and they occupy 13 of the top 20 ranks. Considering the overall strength of Weibo compared to the other 3 feudal towns, in terms of top talents, be it quality or quantity, they are leading by a significant margin. Indeed, being beset by disasters can truly temper one's resilience. Xia Hong's final rhetorical question was not without reason. In the past 5 days, among the numerous books he perused in the book collection tower, there happened to be one called 4 Vassal Centennial Chronicles, which roughly recorded some major events that occurred in the 4 feudal towns of Mo River in the past century. Most notable were 2 calamity-level deceitful monster invasions, the mountain shocking nightmare over 80 years ago and the beekeeper over 30 years ago. The former caused the Hezeng feudal town to lose over half its territory, with more than 7 million casualties, while the latter caused Weibo feudal town to suffer the death of no fewer than 5 million people, leaving both towns greatly weakened and rumored to still not have fully recovered to this day. Comparatively, it seemed Hezeng was worse, but in fact it was not. Weibo borders the largest water system in the Mo River, the White Tiger River. Other than the beekeeper chaos more than 30 years ago, this feudal town has almost never been free of natural disasters like floods, plagues, cold waves, and beast tides in nearly a century, occurring every 3 to 5 years. No wonder one could say beset by disasters without exaggeration. Such an environment actually gave birth to more top talents. Calamities can indeed temper a community's resilience. The ancestors weren't wrong with these words. Xia Hong shook his head slightly, then looked down at the Heavenly List booklet in his hand. A hint of understanding showed in his eyes. Among the top 20, the most valuable reference should be this ranked 18th from Hezeng feudal town, Wan King, with the peak of Xianyang realm cultivation. The last time he made a move was 2 years ago, with a strength of 51 Jun. Considering the old man in green clothing seen in the book collection tower, Xia Hong could basically deduce that the weakest strength of a tribulation body realm is also over 100 Jun. The strength span at the peak of Xianyang realm varies greatly, with the weakest being unknown, slightly stronger ones being above 50 Jun. If I continue reading, the data should still become more accurate. After pondering for a moment, Xia Hong continued to turn the pages, but this next flip stunned him instantly. 21st on the Heavenly List, Southern Wilderness Spear Demon Yang Zhun, Chenkang Yanling County, advisor to the Governor Mansion, possessing peak of Xianyang realm cultivation, originating from the Southern Wilderness but with extraordinary talent, and his talent in the way of the spear was personally praised by the Landgrave of Chenkang. In KQ calendar year 295, with 1 spear, he fought alone against 6 beast kings in the blood miasma plain, ultimately slaying 4, with a strength of 41 Jun. Southern Wilderness Spear Demon, Yang Zhun, peak of Xianyang 41 Jun strength. Could not be mistaken. Xia Hong confirmed the name once more, then, seeing the phrase, originating from the Southern Wilderness but with extraordinary talent, instantly furrowed his brow. The Southern Wilderness refers to the Mo South Slope territory according to the 4 vassals, so this Yang Zhun has a high probability of being from Beishuo, strength of 41 Jun, fighting alone against 6 beast kings. When did he gain this strength? Absolutely impossible. If Yang Zhun had this level of strength, then 2 years ago during the Hongmen battle, it wouldn't have been so easy for me to win. No, KQ year 295 just happened to be the year of the Hongmen battle. Absolutely impossible, so there are 2 Yang Zhun. Xia Hong's expression froze, suddenly recalling a relic from Liu Yang's early infiltration into Beishuo. The Yang family originally started with 3 brothers, the eldest Yang Jun, the second Yang Fa, and the third Yang Jian. But in recent years, the third Yang Jian scarcely appeared in the 9 towns, with rumors saying he was nearing 100 without breaking through to the Xianyang level and likely deceased. No, likely, the one from Beishuo is Yang Jian, and the one left in Chenkang is the real Yang Jun. Now this is getting interesting. After understanding, Xia Hong's expression became peculiar, and his precaution against Beishuo instantly increased a few notches. Since Yang Jun remained in the Four Vassals area, and even became an advisor to the governor mansion of Chen Kang Yanling County, the ties between Beishuo and Chen Kang must be quite deep. The advisor of Yanling County capable of leading troops must be guarded against. Chapter 1431, Chapter 457, True and False Yang Jun, Power and Trials, Teaming Mishap, Kaikiu's Foundation. Unexpectedly, looking at the heavenly rankings, there are such fascinating discoveries. Xia Hong shook his head, decided not to dwell on it, and continued reading through the list. Out of the 100 people on the list, all those ranked after 30th place are at the late-stage Xianyang cultivation level. Kai Yunju's strongest burst reaches 24 Jun combat power, yet he's also at the late stage of cultivation, which proves that the power increase at the Xianyang level is much more difficult than I imagined. Speaking of which, that fake Yang Jun from 9 towns could burst with 20 Jun power at mid-stage, having remarkable talents, presumably not much different from this Chen Kang's Yang Jun. Xia Hong's mind was slightly moved as he carefully cross-referenced the rankings again. This comparison indeed led to new findings. The 30th ranked Chen Kang and Chu Renfeng have peak Xianyang cultivation level with 40 Jun power. Then the 31st ranked Hezeng Ning Yuxiu, though having late-stage Xianyang cultivation, only has 29 Jun power. This means at late-stage Xianyang cultivation, power generally does not exceed 30 Jun, but once reaching the peak, power jumps to 40 Jun and above. For the majority, 30 Jun at the late stage is a threshold. It basically explains that those on the list are the best talents among the 4 vassals at Xianyang level, most breaking through with golden bone talent, gaining 5 Jun power at once, slight power increases from other methods being negligible. Mid-stage is above 10 Jun, late stage is above 20 Jun, then upon breakthrough to the peak, reaching 40 Jun and above, hence forming this ranking result. Case solved. With realization, Xia Hong felt a great relief. No matter what compared to these people, he still holds an overwhelming advantage. In these 4 months at the governor mansion, I went out just 7 times, assisting the eldest Prince Kai Yunlin in hunting. Though using Divine Lotus to cultivate during remaining time, the growth rate has slowed, now only 47 Jun. Upon initial contact with Washing Marrow Pill in Qinghua City, complementing the 12 blood scripture skills, Xia Hong's power increased by 4 Jun in 4 months, from 41 Jun to 45 Jun, but in the 4 months at Linqiu County, only rose by 2 Jun. Effects of elixirs diminish with use, and potential in meridians declines as they are tapped, so naturally growth rate slows down gradually, quite unsurprising. Going forward, it will undoubtedly slow even further, which Xia Hong fully comprehends. Xia Hong discreetly brought out the lotus platform, sat on it cross-legged, and took out 2 elixirs from his bosom, precisely the Washing Marrow Pill and the Bone Shedding Pill. Both were intentionally reserved to be taken back to Great Xia to assist Cheng Feng and other pharmacists in developing formulas. Breaking through late stage won't be quick, can only focus on elixirs now. Though top-grade Bone Shedding Pill and Washing Marrow Pill have fixed quotas, it's impossible to procure more through regular channels. Still seeking elixirs, only 2 methods are left, hoping for an invitation from Yang City or going to Chen Kang's side. Both methods seem uncertain. To find ways for elixirs, investigate the blood miasma situation. Most crucial matters henceforth encompass these 2. If there's a chance to witness the power of Tribulation Body Realm and 5 Luminaries Realm Emperor-level cold beasts, that would be ideal. After a moment of pondering, Xia Hong sighed softly, glancing at the darkening sky outside, decided not to think further, took a bone-gathering pill, and directly entered a cultivation state with closed eyes. Without the top-grade bone-shedding pill, yet he was not lacking bone-gathering pills. Cultivation could not stop, else breaking through late-stage Xianyang would be more elusive. Xia Hong's cultivation session lasted only 20 days. KQ calendar year 297, November the 1st. Before dawn broke, the Su Zinger siblings had already eagerly assembled outside Xia Hong's secluded chamber. "Zinger, what's your power level now?" The last to arrive, the third sibling Su Zhai, immediately queried the youngest's strength, prompting Su Jing and Su Su to turn their heads curiously. 13 main, 12 main, 12 main. Seeing through the three brothers' strengths, Su Zinger beamed with happiness and couldn't help but display a trace of pride while replying to the third sibling's inquiry about her power level. "I'm at 17 main now." 17 main. Upon hearing it, the expressions of Su Jing and the others were filled with astonishment, rejoicing for their sister while exchanging glances among themselves, reading a hint of helplessness in each other's eyes. Ever since April 20 departing from Qinghua City, whether on the way to Linqiu County or living in the governor mansion for almost 5 months, they were relentless, engaging in continual cultivation efforts. Their intense cultivation was driven by not wanting to disappoint their master Hong Yu. Further, realizing the vast gap in talent compared to Su Zinger, knowing that any relaxation would immediately widen the gap with their sister. Being older siblings, they didn't wish for a future where they'd need Su Zinger for protection. Unfortunately, despite their strenuous efforts, the gap continued to widen. Setting off from Qinghua City, the gap with Su Zinger was just over 2 main. Now it has doubled. "Brothers, no need to worry. Sister Shikin has mentioned that the blood miasma plane trial lasts 2 months, with many participants experiencing some degree of battle body talent advancement afterwards. You are superior battle bodies. Perhaps after this trial, you'll also upgrade to top-grade battle body talent." Chapter 1432. Chapter 457. Real and Fake Yang Zhun, Strength and Trial Team-Up Interlude, Kai Qiu's Foundations 4. Upon hearing the words of the younger sister, Su Jing and the others felt a slight tremor, and a strong fighting spirit immediately emerged in their eyes. Third brother Su Zhai excitedly said, "A few days ago, I inquired with the servants. They told me the cold beasts of the blood miasma plane are different from elsewhere. Their blood, flesh, and bones are all poisonous and cannot be used normally, but the blood jade pearl that grows on their foreheads is different. Not only can it be used to enhance cultivation, but the cold resistance level can also use it to reform the skin membrane and continue to improve battle body talent. I also looked into it. For this reason, the trial slots for the blood miasma plane are extremely precious. There used to be a maximum of 200 slots, but since last year the situation changed. I heard Kai Qiu sent a large number of troops there the year before, clearing out a large safe zone, so last year there were 500 slots, and this year there are even more, a total of 1,000 slots. The 4 great commanderies, along with the younger generation from the 5 great cities, all came. Obviously, it wasn't just Su Zhai who did the digging. Second brother Su Su did too. When Su Su mentioned the safe zone, even Su Zinger was a bit puzzled and she quickly asked, "Second brother, what does safe zone mean?" Hearing this, Su Su's expression turned serious, preparing to answer, but just then the door of the main living room quietly opened. "When I came out from the bone-eroding path, I interrogated the soldiers. Weren't you all there? How quickly you forget what the blood miasma plane is all about." "Greetings, master." The 4 siblings of the Su family hurriedly paid their respects to Xia Hong, and after a moment's thought, quickly remembered what the soldiers had said in the Evergreen Valley. The blood miasma plane is named after the long-lasting blood-colored miasma that shrouds the snowy plains. The cold beasts and deceitful monsters within, whether in ferocity or strength, are several times stronger than their counterparts outside. Moreover, the blood-colored miasma on the plains can confuse one's mind, making them violent and murderous. Inhaling it at the cold resistance level either results in madness or death, and even those of the Xianyang level cannot stay long. The so-called safe zone is an area cleared by Kai Qiu's army using special means, where the miasma concentration is relatively low. You at the cold resistance level can rely on Dan medicine and silver to withstand it for a while. Upon hearing Xia Hong's explanation, the 4 finally understood. However, Xia Hong was evidently not finished speaking. He turned to the 4 siblings, feigning seriousness, and said, "I don't know exactly how long those at the cold resistance level can endure, but when I met with Kai Qiu's participants in the trial at the beginning of the month, their strength was at least above 20 zong. I've already inquired, the 200 participants in the trial the year before all had strengths above 40 zong, with a death rate of 20%. Last year, 500 participated, with slightly lower strengths but still above 30 zong, yet the death rate was higher, reaching 30%. He paused briefly, noticing the trace of fear on their faces, and continued in a deep voice. This year, with 1,000 slots, even if maintaining last year's death rate, at least 300 people would die. You are essentially the weakest among them, most likely to be among those 300. Hearing Xia Hong's words, the fear on the siblings' faces intensified. I was invited to the blood miasma plain this time to hunt with the eldest Prince Kai Yunlin, so I won't have time to take care of you. This trial is too dangerous. The four of you should give up. After pausing for a moment, Xia Hong directly suggested they give up the trial. Upon hearing this, Su Jing and the others immediately clenched their fists, but thinking of the alarming death rate and their own strength, quickly loosened them, and their faces turned thoroughly gloomy. Master, Zinger and my brothers are not afraid. 30% is 30%. If we truly die in the blood miasma plane, it will prove that we four siblings simply don't deserve to be your disciples. This little girl is truly cunning. Su Jing and the others were taken aback, but only Su Zinger saw it as a test. As she spoke, she deliberately put on a fearless demeanor, and Xia Hong couldn't help but shake his head and smile secretly. Yes, we're not afraid either. Su is also not afraid, Master. Let us participate in the trial. If we truly die, then that's fate. Su Zhai is willing to participate in the trial. Su Jing and the others weren't foolish and quickly caught on, hastening to follow Su Zinger's lead and spoke one after another. It's really about timing. Though Su Jing and the others are a bit wooden in character, having Su Zinger as a sister is their blessing, so Xia Hong wouldn't be too harsh. Since you have the resolve, then go. But I need to warn you first, every word I said earlier was true. The 30% death rate is real. You are indeed the weakest among the participants, and my absence to watch over you is definitely true, so participating certainly comes with the risk of dying. After Xia Hong finished speaking, he took out a yellow mustard bag from his back and handed 8 pieces of solidified fire oil, along with 8 yellow candles to the 4 of them. This is solidified fire oil, which ignites upon touching deceitful monsters and can be applied on weapons or the body. The 2 yellow candles can also be used against deceitful monsters, and if you encounter something mysterious and hard to comprehend, lighting them will yield miraculous results. But remember, the coverage of their flame is 3 meters, and they can burn for at most half an hour, after which they will immediately lose effect. This was the first time Xia Hong spoke so solemnly. The 4 siblings solemnly accepted the yellow candle and solidified fire oil, bowing together to Xia Hong. Thank you, Master, for the treasures. But these can hardly be called treasures. Reflecting on the pile of solidified fire oil in the great Xia treasury, Xia Hong's expression was somewhat peculiar. Shaking his head, he continued, "Get ready and be off. Many people have already gathered at the county mansion gates, and they're probably about to depart. I need to go to the eldest prince's residence now." Chapter 1433. Chapter 457. The Real and Fake Yang Zhen, Strength and Trials, A Teeming Incident, Kaikiu's Heritage, Part 5. Yes, Master. Su Zinger bowed respectfully, and when she raised her head, she realized Xia Hong had already disappeared. The 4 of them had long packed their belongings and set off directly. Having lived in the county mansion for half a year, the 4 naturally knew the way, and soon arrived at the county mansion entrance after some twists and turns. However, upon arrival, the 4 were immediately dumbfounded. At the county mansion entrance, there stood 1,000 people in black clusters. The 1,000 people, aged mostly between 15 and 25, wore elegant clothes, adorned with accessories that adhered to the Kai Qiu's first-class family status. In fact, no need to look at the accessories. One could glimpse their arrogance and demeanor just by the proud expression on their faces. Of course, these alone weren't enough to stun Su Zinger and her siblings. The main reason was the 1,000 young people, all unrestrainedly releasing their aura, as if deliberately showing off. Though it was daytime, their combined aura formed a blood-red wave that shot into the sky, turning the area above the county mansion's entrance red. Master didn't lie. I can't gauge any of them. Look over there, that little kid, is he even 15? Zinger, see if you can assess his strength in Zong. Gulp, I can't tell. His chi muscle's intensity is at least 30% stronger than mine, at least 21 Zong in strength. How is that possible? He looks at most only 13. All 4 siblings' gazes focused on the right side, on a half-grown child clad in red who wore an arrogant expression, their pupils full of shock and fear. Zinger, come over here. As Su Zinger stood frozen, she heard someone calling next to her. turning her head to see a young girl in a green jade dress waving at her from the left. Who else could it be but Kai Shiken? "Brother, come with me." Seeing Kai Shiken, Su Zinger's face lit up with a smile, hurriedly leading her 3 brothers towards her. The 1,000 people at the county mansion entrance weren't standing according to any rules, but closer observation revealed they were divided into different small groups. Kai Shiken's side was no exception. 12 individuals stood beside her, 9 men and 3 women, all around her age, including 2 young men over 20 who even bore a faint resemblance to her. Unlike Kai Shiken, most of the 12 people showed disdain as they saw Su Zinger and her siblings approaching. Only 3 or 4 were expressionless. Thinking about the hunting trial and observing the expressions of those around Kai Shiken, Su Zinger immediately had some guesses. "Sister Shiken, does this hunt require team formation?" Kai Shiken nodded with a smile and said, "Zinger, you're so clever. Yes, going out to hunt definitely requires teamwork, especially when blood miasma plane is so dangerous. Look at these people at the entrance, releasing their aura deliberately, hoping to find teams." Su Zinger nodded as he turned to look, finding some small groups with almost 60 members, his brows furrowing immediately. "We are going to hunt advanced cold beast. Having too many people isn't good." Unlike armies, hunting teams' primary target is individual cold beasts, not beast tides. Too many people would require a large activity area, easily attracting unanticipated cold beasts. Whether in hunting experience or coordination, they are inferior to soldiers, so the number of people should be strictly controlled. Normally, when hunting advanced cold beast, 30 people should be the limit. Those few teams of over 50 people are clearly unreasonable. Ignorant. However, Su Zinger's remark immediately drew ridicule from those around Kai Shiken. A young man even bluntly called her ignorant. "Kaifeng, if you speak disrespectfully to Zinger again, go to another team." Su Zinger's side hadn't reacted yet. Kai Shiken stood up to admonish him harshly. Kai Kaifeng's face turned angry at her words, instinctively wanting to speak, but upon meeting Kai Shiken's eyes, he immediately deflated like a punctured ball. Seeing him silent, Kai Shiken didn't continue, gently taking Su Zinger's hand and explained, "Zinger, cold beasts in blood miasma plane are different from those outside. With our skills, we can at most hunt intermediate cold beasts. Encountering weaker advanced cold beasts, we might have a chance, but such chances are rare." She paused, looking towards the groups of 50-60 people, and continued softly, "That's the team of Bai Shui County Mansion's 4th Princely Heir Kai Shibai. They've gathered so many people to target advanced cold beasts. In their team, the weakest has over 40 zong. We can't compare." The weakest has over 40 zong. Su Zinger's 4 were frozen upon hearing this, looking at that nearly 60-member team, their hearts intensely shaken. "Shiken, join us. It's safer, and if we encounter advanced cold beasts, we'll have more chances with more people." Su Zinger's mind hadn't recovered when a young man around 20, carrying a long blade at his waist, wearing a silver crown, quickly approached, directly ignoring Su Zinger and inviting Kai Shiken. Wearing a silver crown, a princely heir's specification, Su Zinger glanced at the character Lin Chu on his chest, immediately speculating about his princely heir status in her heart.